Beerus had a solemn expression on his face, but he didn't realize that he had unintentionally spoken his mind. Goku, who was usually naive, suddenly became shrewd at this moment. Huh? Beerus-sama, are you saying that you're weaker than brother Lin Chen? What? Seeing that his thoughts had been exposed, Beerus immediately stomped his foot, saying, how is that possible? I am the mighty god of destruction. How could I lose to a mere mortal? Really? Goku looked skeptical. Seeing this, Beerus' face turned even redder. Fine. Since you don't believe me, I'll let you experience it firsthand. With that, their battle resumed once again. However, at this moment, their fight was no longer the center of attention for everyone. All eyes were now focused on Lin Chen. Everyone. Lin Chen. Your Majesty Lynx. Dad. When Lin Chen's greeting rang out, everyone became excited. Lin Chen's two wives joyfully rushed into his arms, followed by Lin Luo and Taro, with Lazuli smiling nearby. On the side, Whis also greeted with a smile. Oh my, isn't this Lin Chen? You seem even stronger than before. Whis looked at Lin Chen in disbelief, as he could sense 5 different kinds of power of laws emanating from Lin Chen. This was simply incredible, because even as an angel, he can only wield 3 kinds of the power of laws simultaneously. It's okay, Mr. Whis Broly, you've gotten stronger too. Brother Lynx. Broly smiled shyly at Lin Chen. At the same time, more people gathered around. Immediately, laughter filled the air. No one cared about the battle in the sky. In fact, as they chatted, they began descending towards the ground, planning to continue their gathering in West City. Meanwhile, high above the atmosphere, Goku and Beerus' battle had intensified. There were continuous unidentified sounds resembling spatial ruptures. In the original work, the battle between Beerus and Goku did not produce a winner or loser. But now, with Lin Chen's arrival, Beerus couldn't help but feel a sense of crisis, and he urgently needed to prove his strength. In the heat of emotions, Beerus couldn't help but use 70% of his power. The result was that the space where the two were fighting kept distorting, with spatial fissures appearing as if cut by a blade, representing extraordinary energy attacks. Despite being stronger than in the original work, Goku still couldn't defeat Beerus under the onslaught of these attacks. After a fierce collision, the battle finally came to an end. Ha ha ha. Goku, did you see that? You're still far weaker than me. But come to think of it, over all these years, you're the first person I've met who could last this long. Ha ha ha. The fierce battle helped Beerus to vent a lot of his emotions. He wrapped his arms around Goku, who was exhausted and had returned to his normal state, and laughed wildly. Beerus-sama, you're indeed powerful. My training is still not enough, but I will challenge you again one day. Well, you better work hard then, ha ha ha. I'm hungry after all that fighting, Goku, take me down to get something to eat. Alright. The two of them descended towards the ground, but at that moment, they suddenly realized something was wrong. Where were all the people who had been watching from below? They looked around, and finally, Goku sensed that everyone else had actually gone back to West City. With that, Goku instantly teleported himself and Beerus to Bulma's house. Damn it! Whis. You all started eating without waiting for me. Seeing Whis and the others enjoying various exquisite snacks, Beerus immediately felt his temper rising. A dark purple-black destruction energy began to gather. But just then, someone stuffed a piece of chocolate cake into Beerus' mouth. This scene nearly made Vegeta bite his spoon. Who is so reckless to dare to treat the god of destruction Beerus like this? But when he saw that it was actually Lin Chen, Vegeta breathed a sigh of relief and went to ask Goku about the feeling of transforming into Super Saiyan God. Since Lin Chen is here, even if it's the end of the world, he'll take care of it. There's nothing to worry about. Beerus-sama, what's the point of all this fighting? Have a piece of cake. The delicious chocolate made Beerus temporarily forget his anger, and he started eating voraciously. Don't forget that Beerus had just awakened from a 30-year slumber and hadn't had a single meal before coming to search for his archrival. By this point, he was absolutely famished. "Beerus-sama, you should try this food." Surprised, Whis held a small plate and continuously fed Beerus. "Whis, you never leave any tasty food for me," veins popped out on Beerus' forehead as he snatched the food from Whis in anger. "Oh my, Beerus-sama, could you save a bit for me?" In the of Earth's delicacies, both Beerus and Whis had completely forgotten their identities. They were like two country bumpkins seeing everything for the first time, exclaiming in amazement at everything they encountered. While the two gods enjoyed the feast, others gathered around Lin Chen, sharing their experiences over the years. However, this peaceful atmosphere didn't last long. Soon, after having their fill of food and drink, Beerus once again approached Lin Chen. "Hey! You're Lin Chen, the new Saiyan king, right? Come, have a fight with me." Faintly, "Beerus-sama, are you challenging me?" "What a joke, challenges are for the weak against the strong. I'm just mildly interested in you, Lin Chen. So, stop fussing. As long as you satisfy me, they'll revoke my order and no longer consider destroying Planet Vegeta. Otherwise, they'll personally obliterate both Planet Vegeta and this Earth." Beerus glared with his golden eyes. Upon hearing this, Lin Chen hadn't said anything yet, but Broly and the others' eyes had already widened. "Mr. Whis, what does Beerus-sama mean by order?" Whis cleared his throat. "Broly, when Frieza attacked Planet Vegeta back then, he was actually following Beerus-sama's order to destroy Planet Vegeta." "What? Is that true?" Beerus cast a sidelong glance at Broly and sneered, "Who told that King Vegeta to provoke me at that time? A god of destruction's orders must be carried out. Although Frieza is dead, I will personally destroy Planet Vegeta. Lin Chen, what do you think? Are you going to fight me, or watch your planet be destroyed?" Lin Chen put down his knife and fork and said indifferently, "Beerus-sama, whether it's Earth or Planet Vegeta, neither will be destroyed. God of Destruction Beerus." Once upon a time, he had always been the driving force Lin Chen used to push himself forward. And Beerus' threat to Planet Vegeta had always hung like the sword of Damocles over Lin Chen's head. But now, all of this can finally come to an end today. Who do you think you are? I'm Beerus, and no one has been able to stop me from destroying a planet before. When Beerus heard Lin Chen's words, his eyes turned cold, and an indescribable anger slowly began to rise. He, the mighty god of destruction Beerus, used to strike fear into the hearts of all wherever he went in Universe 7. No one had dared to defy his will. But now, what's the result? There was actually someone who dared to speak arrogantly, openly disrespecting him. This was simply unforgivable. With a heart filled with anger, a dark and imposing aura instantly pervaded the surroundings. Even Whis, who had always had a smile on his face, couldn't help but look serious. Oh my, Beerus-sama is really angry now. Following his anger, Beerus' body gradually floated towards the sky, his gaze locked onto Lin Chen. At this moment, a sinister voice rang out. Lin Chen, don't think that just because you've comprehended some power of laws, you're qualified to challenge me, the god of destruction. The depths of the divine realm are not determined by how much power of laws one has comprehended, but by who can truly master the power of laws. Compared to real gods, you are far from it. Upon hearing Beerus' provocation, Lin Chen was about to respond when he suddenly heard a prompt from the system. Ding! Congratulations, host, for provoking the anger of God of Destruction Beerus, triggering the strongest choices. Choice 1, battle against God of Destruction Beerus and last for 30 minutes. Reward, intermediate power of destruction. Choice 2, fight God of Destruction Beerus to a draw. Reward, advanced power of destruction. Choice 3, defeat God of Destruction Beerus. Reward, power of fusion laws. Lin Chen was taken aback, not expecting that there would be a mission triggered for fighting Beerus this time. But what was this reward? Power of fusion laws? Could this reward be used to directly fuse laws? System, explain the power of fusion laws. Ding, power of fusion laws can help the host fuse different laws and obtain more new power of laws. Wow, wasn't that similar to fusing cards? Upon hearing this explanation, Lin Chen no longer hesitated. System, I choose option 3. Since he was going to fight Beerus, he naturally had to give him a good beating. After all, Beerus' threat had been hanging over Lin Chen's head for decades. Then, Lin Chen also floated up into the sky, and an unfathomable aura surged out from him. Lin Chen's hair began to grow longer, and his body started to become slender, but the color of his hair remained black throughout. At the same time, a purple-black divine halo appeared behind him, leaving both Whis and Beerus astonished. Because this divine halo, while different from theirs, was undoubtedly authentic. The auras of the two gods simultaneously emitted out, causing the entire earth to sway and tremble. It wasn't just the earth that trembled, although the divine auras couldn't be perceived. The godly pressure emanating from Lin Chen and Beerus at this moment made even mortals like Goku and the others struggle to stand firm. Such a terrifying aura. What's going on? What realm has Brother Lin Chen reached now? Why does it feel like he's even more terrifying than Beerus-sama? Oh my! Whis, who was nearby, chuckled and said, isn't that right? Mr. Lin Chen has already completely entered the divine realm. His current strength is more than enough to contend with the god of destruction. No, Lin Chen has mastered several power of laws. An ordinary god of destruction might not be able to defeat him. Wow! Taro exclaimed excitedly, doesn't that mean Dad has already won this fight? Not necessarily. Whis shook his head. Don't underestimate Beerus-sama. At this moment, in the sky, Beerus was already preparing to attack. But Lin Chen suddenly stopped him, saying, wait. Beerus was taken aback, sneering, what? Are you having second thoughts now? That won't do. I'm already angry. Very angry. Of course not. I just don't want to harm Earth. Saying that, Lin Chen suddenly waved his hand. Suddenly, everyone felt the scenery around them change, and when they realized it, they were no longer on Earth. Where is this? Beerus felt that everything around him was somewhat familiar. But before he could react, he heard a sharp voice in the distance. Ah! Beerus! It's Beerus-sama. The next moment, 3 figures appeared at the scene using instant transmission. Among them, Beerus recognized one of them. Ah! Aren't you Supreme Kai? Huh? Weren't you sealed by me? When did you escape? Beerus had just finished speaking when he realized that it wasn't the right time to inquire about when old Kai had escaped from his seal. The current problem was why they had come here. Because this wasn't Earth, it was the sacred world of the Kai. Could it be? Beerus turned his head, and his gaze fell upon Lin Chen, who appeared calm and composed. Was it you? What do you think? Lin Chen asked in return, wearing a cryptic smile on his face. Beerus wore an unprecedented serious expression. Whis couldn't help but comment, I understand now. Just now, Lin Chen used the power of space to teleport all of us to the sacred world of the Kai. He's able to move so many people at once, indicating that Lin Chen's power of space has also entered the divine realm. At this moment, the entire sacred world of the Kai was filled with a solemn atmosphere, and the sky seemed to have frozen in place. The wind stopped, the clouds dispersed, and old Kai's group was trembling. Supreme Kai-sama, what does Lin Chen treat our sacred world of the Kai as? Does he think this is an arena? Why does he keep choosing this place as the battlefield? I don't know either, Supreme Kai-shin replied, equally bewildered. Moreover, this was the first time he had seen God of Destruction Beerus with his own eyes. It turns out the legends were true. God of destruction power far surpassed that of Majin Buu and Android 21 from back then. In the sky, the solemn atmosphere had reached the peak. Lin Chen and Beerus stood silently for a long time, their expressions calm, but the constantly warping space around them indicated that both were ready. Suddenly, a purple energy surged from Beerus, enveloping his body in an instant. God of Destruction Beerus was the first to make a move. In the next moment, a terrifying thunderous sound echoed in the sky as Beerus, utilizing his immense strength, sent Lin Chen flying. As Lin Chen was sent flying, the very space where he had originally been present began to collapse. Even the supposedly most stable place in the universe, the sacred world of the Kai, saw its space shatter under one attack. The power of Beerus' single punch was truly terrifying. Old Kai, East Supreme Kai, and the others were all left sweating. But this was only the beginning. After landing that punch, Beerus didn't give Lin Chen a moment to recover. He transformed into a streak of purple lightning. In an instant, he appeared by Lin Chen's side, who was still struggling to regain balance. Bang! 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 It sounded as if someone had pulled the trigger on a machine gun, and the relentless barrage of gunfire echoed intensely. Lin Chen, seemingly unable to fight back at all, was repeatedly struck by Beerus, not knowing how many punches he had endured. Lin Chen. Is this all you've got? You've truly disappointed me. On the sidelines, everyone was surprised to see Lin Chen falling into disadvantage right from the start. What's going on? Even Kakarot was able to exchange blows with Beerus-sama earlier. How is it that His Majesty Lynx is completely outmatched? Vegeta couldn't understand. Teacher, what's happening? Broly looked towards Whis. There's no way around it. Beerus-sama is now using his full strength. Lin Chen has truly angered him this time. I haven't seen Beerus-sama go all out in a long time, Whis explained. Don't worry, Dad can also transform into a Super Saiyan God, right? What's that form called again? Taro asked. Lin Luo replied, Black God. Yes, Black God. Whis chuckled and shook his head. If you're talking about the divine realm, then Lin Chen is in that Black God form right now. What? Finally, the group started to panic. So, the God of Destruction Beerus is really this powerful? Even as a Black God, Lin Chen was no match for him. At this moment, Lin Chen was also surprised. At full power, Beerus' power level had exceeded 80 billion, and he had reached the second level of the divine realm. Indeed, he deserved to be one of the top-ranked experts among the gods of destruction. Just this level of power level alone made it impossible for Lin Chen, even in his Black God form, to deal with him. I thought Black God form would be enough, but it seems not. Lin Chen shook his head and then made a decision. Shortly after, while Beerus was still relentlessly attacking, he suddenly noticed that Lin Chen had disappeared. Power of space, huh? What a nuisance. Beerus immediately followed the lingering traces of power of space to track Lin Chen's location. But just then, a shadow suddenly attacked. Beerus' heart skipped a beat as he saw Lin Chen's hand descending from above. Beerus reacted quickly and placed both hands on his head. You're finally fighting back, Lin Chen. Beerus gritted his teeth, preparing to withstand Lin Chen's attack. However, he didn't expect an incredibly overwhelming force to strike him. Beerus' arms went numb, and he turned into a streak of light, falling from the sky. Boom! The entire sacred world of the Kai trembled, making it seem as if the entire world was on the brink of destruction. The trembling ceased, and in the sacred world of the Kai, there was now a massive crater with a diameter of over a kilometer. Beerus climbed out of the crater looking disheveled, his eyes filled with anger. What's going on? Has this guy's power and speed increased? Beerus raised his head, but he realized that something seemed off. In the sky of the sacred world of the Kai at this moment, it appeared as if there was an additional silver-gray sun. A silver-gray sun? Beerus squinted his eyes and then realized that this so-called silver-gray son was actually Lin Chen. At this moment, Lin Chen had silver-gray long hair, and his body was much more tall and sturdy than when he was in his black god form. His appearance is almost similar to his previous legendary Super Saiyan transformation. Below, Broly, who also possessed the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline, saw this and couldn't help but exclaim, could Brother Lynx have transformed into legendary Super Saiyan again? Whis shook his head and said, it doesn't seem like it. His current form is still in the divine realm, he hasn't reverted back to legendary Super Saiyan. Then what's going on? Whis thought for a moment and said, if I had to say, Lin Chen seems to have based his current form on his previous transformation. A Super Saiyan transformation in the Black God form? Goku was initially surprised, then he said, so, Brother Lin Chen's current transformation is like Super Saiyan Black God? Uncle Goku, your name is too hard to understand. I think Dad's transformation should be called Super Black God. Dad's hair has turned silver gray, so it can't be called Black God anymore. It should be Super Saiyan God Silver Gray, or simply Silver God for short. Hearing the cacophony of voices below, giving names to his new form, Lin Chen couldn't help but temporarily put Beerus aside and shout at them, hey, stop coming up with random names. I've already thought of a name for this form. My Black God form is actually also a Super Saiyan God. And my current form is a legendary Super Saiyan transformation with the Black God form as normal state. So, this form should be called Legendary Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. For short, let's just call it Legendary Super Saiyan Silver Gray. Are you done talking nonsense? At this moment, Beerus suddenly roared, and the energy of destruction on his body became even more intense. Just now, it seemed like everyone had completely ignored his presence, and this was something Beerus couldn't accept. The mighty god of destruction, when had he ever been so disregarded? In a fit of anger, Beerus immediately condensed a special energy in his hands. This energy was the power of destruction, but at the same time, it was also the privilege granted to Beerus as the god of destruction, a power that could be considered divine. And not good. Old Kai recognized this move and immediately yelled. If Beerus were to unleash this move on the ground, the entire sacred world of the Kai might face irreparable and massive destruction. When Beerus locked onto him with his attack, Lin Chen felt a sudden sense of danger. Legendary Super Saiyan Silver Gray form had been developed over the past few years based on his memories to enhance his power. The silver gray hair was due to Lin Chen's mastery of multiple power of laws, influencing his divine aura. Similar to how Black Goku in the original work turned into Super Saiyan Rose due to the aura of a Supreme Kai. But just like Super Saiyan Blue, legendary Super Saiyan Silver Gray fundamentally only raised his power level and didn't improve his realm. Meanwhile Beerus' move at this moment was a pure application of power of destruction. Even though Lin Chen also possessed power of destruction, he had no way to compare to Beerus who wielded the power of destruction as a god of destruction. As Lin Chen's thoughts raced, Beerus' attack had already reached him. Hakai. Unable to stop or counter it, Lin Chen could only watch helplessly as he was engulfed by this power of destruction, turning into specks of stardust and disappearing completely into the air. Dad! Lin Chen! Your Majesty! When Lin Chen disappeared, everyone felt a chill in their hearts and couldn't help but cry out in shock. No one had expected that the battle, which had been fierce and close, would suddenly take a dramatic turn. And no one had expected that Beerus' attack would have such incredible power. Even Lin Chen couldn't resist it. That's Beerus-sama's power of destruction, capable of destroying everything in the world. Brother Lin Chen's dead, Broly lamented, closing his eyes. Everything had happened so suddenly. If he had known that Beerus would go so far as to use lethal force, he would have tried to intervene. But unfortunately. Alright, don't be sad, Whis said with a smile, seeing the sadness on everyone's faces. Don't worry, it seems that Lin Chen isn't dead yet. What? Lin Chen isn't dead? Everyone was stunned by Whis' words. Even Beerus, who was celebrating his victory in the distance, wore a skeptical expression. Lin Chen had clearly been completely annihilated by his power of destruction, so how could he not be dead? However, as if confirming Whis' judgment, just as the crowd exclaimed, a mysterious power instantly pervaded the sacred world of the Kai. This power was extremely peculiar, giving people a strong sense of dizziness. This seems to be the power of time. Old Kai exclaimed. Almost simultaneously, at the very spot where Lin Chen had been annihilated just moments ago, a voice silently appeared. Even though there was no trace of aura on his body, he exuded an unparalleled and terrifying pressure. If it wasn't Lin Chen, then who could it be? Beerus stared at Lin Chen in disbelief and finally reacted, You can even use the power of time. Yes, didn't Whis tell you? Lin Chen replied with a faint smile. Although he appeared calm, the situation had been incredibly dangerous just moments ago. As mentioned earlier, Beerus' mastery of the power of destruction was far more profound than Lin Chen's. This power of destruction has transcended spatial boundaries and is undoubtedly locked on its target. The power of destruction, even if it had to pursue to the ends of the universe, will obliterate the target without a chance of escape. Sensing this, Lin Chen knew that even if he were to use instant transmission, there was absolutely no chance of escape. So, Lin Chen made a dangerous decision. He left behind a trace of the power of time in the present world, and this power came into effect when he was about to be completely obliterated by the power of destruction, reversing Lin Chen's time by 3 seconds. Similar to the original work where Whis reversed time to save Earth from Frieza's destruction, Lin Chen used this move to save himself from what was otherwise certain death. God of Destruction Beerus, I really underestimated you. But I won't give you another chance. Super Kaioken. Having narrowly escaped disaster, Lin Chen gave it his all, using his full strength. Whoosh! A lightning-fast assault began once more. Two figures transformed into two different colored streaks of light. One was red, the other was purple. They engaged in an ultra-high-speed battle in the sacred world of the Kai. Among the people present, only Whis and Broly could barely keep up with their movements. As for the others, even Goku and Vegeta, all they could hear were the constant sounds of battle echoing in the sky, leaving them completely stunned. This was the first time they had witnessed such an intense battle. Even the battle between Lin Chen and Majin Buu in the past had never been this fierce. Boom! 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 In the battle between Lin Chen and Beerus, the shockwaves of their battle continued to rampage through the sacred world of the Kai. The terrifying power seemed as though it would completely destroy the sacred world of the Kai, causing one enormous void after another to appear. Why? How can a mere mortal possess such power? This is absolutely impossible. Bang! Amid a violent collision, Beerus staggered and was the first to retreat from their high-speed clash, taking a step back. Oh my, Beerus-sama is actually being suppressed. Whis was surprised by the current turn of events. Taro, who was nearby, hadn't forgotten Whis' earlier words and asked, Uncle, didn't you say my dad couldn't win? What do you say now? Don't be hasty. Beerus-sama still has one more powerful move up his sleeve, Whis replied with a hint of concern. However, if Beerus-sama does use that move, it could be troublesome. At that point, I might not even be able to stop the two of them. Just as Whis was contemplating whether to let the battle continue, Beerus couldn't hold back any longer and unleashed his ultimate move. Lin Chen. Among all the other gods of destruction from different universes, you're the first one to force me to use this move. Be proud. And then, prepare to die. In the next moment, Beerus' aura underwent a sudden transformation. A silvery energy enveloped him, emitting a hazy silvery radiance. Beerus, at this moment, had completely shed the violent aura he was emitting earlier and instead gave off a sense of calm. What's going on? What has happened to Beerus-sama? Broly couldn't help but mutter. As the person closest to the god of destruction on the scene besides Whis, he suddenly realized that he was actually somewhat unclear about Beerus' strength. Ah, he's finally using it, Whis shook his head. Now that Beerus had unleashed his ultimate move, this battle was no longer something he could intervene in. Teacher, Beerus-sama. Ultra Instinct. Just as Whis was about to explain, Lin Chen muttered to himself. That's right, the state Beerus was in right now was indeed the most powerful state in the Dragon Ball world, known as Ultra Instinct. Lin Chen is well aware of the power of Ultra Instinct. It's a profound state that transcends the ordinary boundaries of strength. According to legend, Ultra Instinct is a special state passed down among the gods, a manifestation of one's unleashed potential after breaking their limits. Even the gods found it difficult to reach the peak of Ultra Instinct. In the original work, during the tournament of power held by Zeno, Goku entered Ultra Instinct state at a crucial moment when facing the formidable warrior Jiren from Universe 11. This allowed them to turn the tide of the tournament at the end and find hope for victory. According to the original work, all members of the angel race possessed Ultra Instinct, and God of Destruction Beerus had also sought Whis' guidance in learning it. Though he hadn't fully mastered it, it had made Beerus one of the most powerful gods of destruction among the 12 universes. The characteristics of Ultra Instinct included a separation of consciousness and body, a significant increase in speed and reaction time, and the ability for the body to act automatically without being controlled by the brain. Entering the Ultra Instinct state was like activating an automatic evasion cheat, allowing one to effortlessly dodge any form of attack. Entering Ultra Instinct state does not significantly increase one's power level. However, being able to be called the strongest state in the entire multiverse, Ultra Instinct naturally has its terrifying aspects. Just the speed it enhanced has already changed the situation. Bang! In just an instant, Beerus' fist struck Lin Chen's face. Lin Chen retaliated with a punch, but Beerus effortlessly evaded it as if he knew it was coming, then again counterattacked. Boom! 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 A situation that completely baffled the onlookers unfolded. In the next few minutes, Lin Chen and Beerus hardly engaged in the high-speed battle from before. Instead, they stood in one place, engaged in close combat. The place restriction allowed Goku and the others to have a clear view of the battle. But this battle had already exceeded their imagination. Boom! 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 What's going on? Why does it seem like Brother Lin Chen is being suppressed? It can't be. Just a moment ago, His Majesty Lynx had the upper hand, right? All of Lin Chen's attacks are being dodged. How is Beerus doing it? As the battle continued, the onlookers became increasingly alarmed. From the moment they could see the two's fight clearly, they noticed that every one of Lin Chen's attacks was perfectly evaded by Beerus, while Beerus' attacks made Lin Chen struggle. The performance of the two was like night and day compared to earlier. That's the power of Ultra Instinct. Lin Chen now has no chance of winning against Beerus-sama. Whis said, holding his scepter. Another fatal blow, and Lin Chen's body shuddered, blood spraying from his mouth. Under the relentless barrage of attacks, he couldn't hold on any longer and was sent flying. He flew hundreds of meters, embedding his feet into the ground and leaving 2 deep furrows before coming to a stop. It truly is Ultra Instinct. This dodging cheat is insane. Lin Chen took a deep breath, using the power of creation to slowly heal his injuries. Lin Chen, it's time to end this. At this moment, you are still slightly weaker than Beerus-sama. Facing Ultra Instinct, you cannot win. If you continue to fight, you may die. Whis floated over in front of Lin Chen, attempting to stop the battle. Standing in the distance, Beerus didn't interrupt. Lin Chen had earned his respect by forcing him to use imperfect Ultra Instinct. However, whether it was Whis or Beerus, they probably didn't expect that Lin Chen's goal wasn't just to tie the match, he wanted to win. He wanted to defeat Beerus, completely conquering the nightmare from the past. Thank you for your suggestion, Mr. Whis, but I will fight to the end. Boom! Just as Lin Chen finished speaking, a violent collision sent him flying backward once again. Beerus, angered by their conversation, had suddenly launched a sneak attack. Though Lin Chen managed to withstand the blow, he was no longer in the legendary Super Saiyan Silver Gray form. The previous strike had exceeded his limit. "That's not very nice, Beerus-sama." Whis turned around and reprimanded Beerus for the surprise attack. But Beerus remained stubborn, his face turning red. "Whis, you heard him earlier. This kid wants to fight to the end. Today, nobody's going to stop me. I'll make him surrender on his own." Beerus-sama. Seeing Beerus getting a bit carried away, Whis immediately warned. Unfortunately, the current Beerus was in no mood to listen to advice. His entire body was shimmering with a white radiance as he bypassed Whis and attacked Lin Chen once again. Seeing Beerus showing no sign of stopping, Whis shook his head helplessly and stopped interfering. After all, he is Beerus' attendant, and he had no intention of getting in his way for Lin Chen. Moreover, Whis had a move up his sleeve that could reverse everything. If a situation arose where the two were at each other's throats, he could simply turn back time. There's no other way. Lin Chen watched as Beerus rapidly approached closer, and his heart hardened. He had thought that transforming into legendary Super Saiyan Silver Gray combined with Super Kaioken would be enough to deal with Beerus. But he never expected that Beerus had an ace up his sleeve, Ultra Instinct. So, without any hesitation, Lin Chen immediately activated the reward he had stored in the system for a long time. "System, I want to use the Ultra Instinct experience card." Back when Lin Chen was assisting the Supreme Kai of Time in handling disturbances in history, he had received an Ultra Instinct experience card in consecutive tasks released by the system. He had kept this card all this time, not using it casually. There was a reason for that. Because Lin Chen knew that with Ultra Instinct Stare, experiencing it just once wouldn't be of much help in learning it. So, Lin Chen had always regarded it as his last resort, to be used only in the most critical moments. And now, it was probably the most critical moment. Because only Ultra Instinct could counter Ultra Instinct. Ding! Confirming the host's intention, Ultra Instinct experience card activated. Reminder to the host, this Ultra Instinct experience card can only maintain its effect for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, the effect will expire, and the host's corresponding stamina will be deducted, just like with the real Ultra Instinct. But during the duration of the effect, the host will enter perfect Ultra Instinct state. The next moment, a silvery light burst forth. Beerus, who was about to attack, froze in place upon seeing this light, his mouth agape, not knowing what to say. Whis turned around and was equally astonished. Boom! A silvery pillar of light suddenly exploded, shooting straight into the sky. What's happening? What is that? Why do I feel like Brother Lin Chen has transformed again? That's right, at this moment, Lin Chen was no longer legendary Super Saiyan Silver Gray. He had returned to his normal state, but strangely, a silvery energy had enveloped Lin Chen. His hair had turned from its usual black to silver, his pupils had become silvery, and even his tail had turned silvery. This is strange. What kind of transformation is this? It seems different from legendary Super Saiyan Silver Gray, Taro wondered. That's not Silver Gray anymore, right? It looks more like silver. Lin Luo remarked. That's not a transformation. It's Ultra Instinct. Old Kai suddenly exclaimed. Whis, stuttering for once, said, this Mr. Lin Chen, you can use Ultra Instinct? It's impossible. Beerus said in disbelief. How could this guy possibly use such a technique? Even he, as a mighty god of destruction, hasn't completely mastered it. Why does Lin Chen seem to have not only mastered it but also at a deeper level than him? Buzz. As Lin Chen stepped into Ultra Instinct state, it was as if he had opened a gateway to a new world. At this moment, Lin Chen could almost feel everything in the world. From the biggest movements of Beerus, who was preparing to launch an attack on him, to the smallest details in the sacred world of the Kai, where every blade of grass and tree was swaying by the energy waves of their battle. Everything was exceptionally clear in Lin Chen's eyes. It was as if Lin Chen had become the world itself. So, this is Ultra Instinct. No wonder it's called the most powerful technique in the multiverse. It's truly amazing. At this moment, Lin Chen fully understood what Ultra Instinct was all about. Just as he had thought before, Ultra Instinct was not a technique that increased power level. However, not increasing power level did not mean that one's strength wouldn't improve after activating Ultra Instinct. If we were to describe it using a game analogy, power level is a numerical value derived from the formula that calculates various attributes of a character. So, activating Ultra Instinct is like a character's speed and evasion attributes being instantly maxed out, their attack attribute increasing by hundreds of times, but their power level attribute remained unchanged, as if it were locked. That's roughly how it worked. Currently, Lin Chen's power level was actually just slightly over 100 million in his normal state. However, he could feel that he had the power to take on even the most powerful foes, like Majin Buu, whom he once faced. Furthermore, he was confident that he could take on Jiren as well. And the source of this confidence was Lin Chen's current divine realm, which had unexpectedly reached the advanced second level. Before using Ultra Instinct, Lin Chen's divine realm had just entered the beginner second level because he had mastered 5 kinds of power of laws. It turns out that Ultra Instinct can actually enhance the divine realm. Just as there were clear signs of Ultra Instinct manifesting on Lin Chen, Beerus still couldn't believe it. Ultra Instinct that even he couldn't fully master was comprehended by a mere mortal. This is impossible. Beerus' entire body radiated with a silver light as he instantly appeared before Lin Chen and threw a powerful punch. To onlookers, this punch was so fast that it was almost invisible, but to Lin Chen, it was nothing. Lin Chen simply tilted his head slightly and effortlessly dodged it. However, immediately afterward, Lin Chen's counterattack was also dodged by Beerus. Next, the two of them stood in the same place, engaging in a strange battle. It was strange because, during the course of their battle, neither of them made a sound. Whether it was offense or defense, both Lin Chen and Beerus seemed to know each other's next move, and they were able to dodge each other effortlessly. So, after a while of fighting, neither of them had been injured, and their bodies had hardly come into contact with each other. Seeing this bizarre scene, Goku couldn't help but fly over to Whis and ask, "Mr. Whis, do you know what's going on with them? Why can't they hit each other?" This is the power of Ultra Instinct. Ultra Instinct. Ultra Instinct is a state that separates the consciousness from the body, allowing different parts of the body to transcend instinct and perceive danger. Lin Chen and Beerus-sama have both entered Ultra Instinct simultaneously, which means they can both sense each other's attacks. Now, the current situation of both of them is because their bodies are anticipating each other's attack paths, leading to instinctive counterattacks. Upon hearing this explanation, Goku immediately understood, but he scratched his head in confusion and asked, "Huh? Then, in that case, how will the victor be determined?" The victory has actually already been decided. Whis gazed at the battlefield and said, "Beerus-sama's Ultra Instinct is still in its infancy, not yet perfect. But Lin Chen's current state is already the most perfect Ultra Instinct. It won't be long before Beerus-sama can't keep up." Just as Whis finished speaking, the battlefield underwent a change. Perhaps realizing that he couldn't match Lin Chen in terms of his state, after one attack, Beerus began to incorporate his power of destruction into his attacks. Lin Chen, not to be outdone, naturally responded in kind. Beerus infused his attack with the power of destruction, and Lin Chen, in turn, employed the power of time. When Beerus' attack infused with power of destruction was dodged, Lin Chen's eyes lit up, and a wave of power of time descended upon Beerus. Time prison. Power of laws had nothing to do with power level, its effectiveness depended entirely on the divine realm. At this moment, Lin Chen's divine realm far surpasses the usual, making even this technique that uses the power of law significantly more powerful than before. Right after being hit, Beerus suddenly realized that his movements were no longer keeping up with his thoughts. Power of time. Damn it! Just as Beerus was about to use his power of destruction to counter the power of time, Lin Chen's attack had already reached him. Beerus' body shook violently, and blood sprayed out from his mouth. Despite the fact that Lin Chen's power level was several hundred times lower than Beerus at the moment, the perfect Ultra Instinct's amplification of his attacks made Lin Chen's strike incredibly powerful, something that even the God of Destruction's divine body couldn't withstand. Carried away by Lin Chen's attack, Beerus found himself unable to control his trajectory, flying uncontrollably through the air. Stop! It wasn't until Beerus shouted loudly and used his energy of destruction to disperse all of Lin Chen's power that he finally came to a halt. Perfect Ultra Instinct? Is this really perfect Ultra Instinct? Beerus' face was filled with shock. He suddenly sighed, and the silver energy surrounding his body dissipated, and he landed on the ground dejectedly. Beerus had lost the will to fight and didn't want to continue. He had originally thought that with the power of God of Destruction, combined with his tens of thousands of years of experience, he would be able to easily deal with Lin Chen. However, he was forced to use Ultra Instinct by Lin Chen. If he had won, that would have been one thing, but what he hadn't expected was that Lin Chen would also have Ultra Instinct, and it would be even stronger. As the God of Destruction, Beerus felt defeated like never before. Beerus-sama, are you giving up? Whis approached Beerus after he voluntarily cancelled Ultra Instinct and asked. I give up. Beerus waved his hand and said somewhat dispiritedly, I give up. Today has truly been unbelievable. I've only been asleep for less than 40 years, and how did this universe suddenly produce such a monster? Whis, are you sure he's not from your angel race? Whis smiled and glanced at Lin Chen's tail. Beerus-sama, do you still need to ask me that? Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the mission and receiving the reward, Power of Fusion Laws. Beerus-sama actually gave up. Witnessing the God of Destruction Beerus surrender, Broly was astonished. Among those present, as a God of Destruction candidate himself, Broly was well aware of Beerus' strength. However, to his surprise, God of Destruction took the initiative to surrender to Lin Chen. Brother Lynx, you're truly amazing. While elated, Broly also felt a surge of fighting intent rise in his heart. These past few years of training on God of Destruction's planet not only allowed Broly to gain complete control over his emotions but also transformed his personality to resemble that of a normal Saiyan, fearless in the face of challenging powerful opponents. As for Goku and the others, they were equally astounded, especially Goku, who had fought Beerus before and knew the extent of his power. He understood just how formidable Lin Chen's strength must be to defeat Beerus. At this moment, the three of them returned. With a wave of Whis scepter, both Lin Chen and Beerus were instantly healed. Brother Lin Chen, you're so powerful. The people of Earth rushed towards Lin Chen, each one expressing their amazement. Observing them, Whis remarked, Beerus-sama, you need to seriously focus on your training from now on. If you continue to just eat and sleep like this, you may never defeat Lin Chen. Humph. It's because I had just woken up, and hadn't warmed up yet. Whis, when we return, give me some training. I'll definitely beat him next time. Beerus huffed, sounding like a sore loser as he spoke to Whis. Whis glanced at him with a hint of surprise, a smile appearing on his face. I didn't expect Beerus to finally muster up the courage. In that case, the trip to Earth wasn't in vain. Just then, Goku sneaked over to their side. Mr. Whis, Beerus-sama. Beerus glanced at Goku in anger, what? Are you here to mock me? Of course not. Goku quickly shook his head and continued, Beerus-sama, I wanted to ask if I could train with you. You want to train with me? Beerus gave Goku a serious look. Whis gripped his scepter, remaining alert. Beerus was not in the best mood right now, and Whis feared that he might cause trouble. However, what happened next left Whis baffled. Beerus appraised Goku for a moment, then suddenly placed a hand around his neck and whispered, "Hey, your name is Goku, right? Are you also a Saiyan like that Lin Chen?" "Yes, I am. But I grew up on Earth. Could you theoretically achieve what Lin Chen can?" "Huh?" Goku was surprised. He scratched his head and said, "Brother Lin Chen is much more talented than me. Even though I've worked hard, I'm still far behind him." "No. You have great potential too." Beerus patted Goku's shoulder and continued, "How about this? Come with me to God of Destruction's planet, and he'll teach you. You'll definitely be able to defeat Lin Chen." "Really? Great. Beerus-sama, they'll follow you from now on." Goku exclaimed with excitement. Suddenly, he remembered something. "Oh, Beerus-sama, can I bring someone else along to train with us? I think having two people train together would be more effective." "Who do you want to bring?" "Vegeta." Goku shouted and dragged Vegeta over. "You want to bring him?" Beerus scrutinized Vegeta from head to toe. "Kakarot, what are you up to?" Vegeta looked completely puzzled. "Vegeta, there's a great opportunity in front of you. I'm asking, do you want to train with me under Beerus-sama?" "What? Really?" Vegeta immediately looked at Beerus. Beerus considered for a moment and nodded. "Sure, but you'll have to prepare at least 100 servings of the food from the previous banquet for me." "No problem. Beerus-sama, please wait a moment. I'll go find someone to prepare it for you." Bulma. Excited, Vegeta walked away. Despite Beerus losing to Lin Chen, he believed that learning from Beerus would be highly beneficial. Especially after witnessing today's high-level battle between Lin Chen and Beerus, Vegeta increasingly felt that he couldn't catch up with Lin Chen through his own training alone. So, becoming a disciple of the God of Destruction Beerus seemed like a good choice. Moreover, Beerus also has a Broly who can be said to be a weakened version of Lin Chen. After Vegeta went to look for Bulma, Goku went to discuss matters at home with Gohan and Goten. As they left, Whis couldn't help but ask, "Beerus-sama, why did you decide to teach that Saiyan named Goku? Although he is a Saiyan like Lin Chen, he falls a bit short compared to Lin Chen." "No," Beerus shook his head. "Whis, haven't you noticed? That guy Goku seems to have learned Ultra Instinct." "Huh?" Whis was surprised. "Really? Although it only appeared for a very short time, it was undoubtedly a sign of Ultra Instinct." "I can't be mistaken," Beerus affirmed. "So this Goku is either naturally gifted in learning Ultra Instinct, or someone taught him the basics of Ultra Instinct." Goku considers Lin Chen as his rival. "The enemy of my enemy is my friend. If I teach him and he defeats Lin Chen, it would still count as my victory over Lin Chen." "Beerus-sama, you were actually harboring this idea? Well, it's rare for you to have such a thought." With that, Beerus' Battle of Awakening came to a close. After bidding farewell to everyone, Goku and others returned to God of Destruction's planet with Beerus, and Broly also took his leave. Once they disappeared into the colorful light, Lin Chen turned to his family with a smile. "Everyone, how about we go eat something? I haven't had anything good to eat these past few years. Dad, can you teach us for a bit? You're so powerful, you can't ignore your son." "Alright, let's go." "Well, eat first, then we can talk about it." While a crisis on Earth was being resolved, in a faraway corner of the universe, a disc-shaped spaceship was rapidly approaching a green planet. If Lin Chen were to see this, he would surely recognize this spaceship as the large battleship used by the Frost Demon's army in the past. Now, on the bridge of this spaceship, a tall, slender, gray-skinned alien spoke to a smaller figure, Lord Sorbet, were approaching new planet Namek. Upon hearing this, the alien named Sorbet immediately turned around and said, "Very well. Prepare for landing." Also, inform everyone that during our descent to new planet Namek, they must maintain friendliness and absolutely refrain from any hostile actions. Since Jinyu disguised as King Cold died on planet Namek, there has been no trace of the Frost Demon race's influence in the universe. The forces that were once under the command of the three Frost Demon leaders fell victim to the attacks of the Galactic Federation formed by the Saiyans and either perished or managed to escape. Among them, many turned to a life of pirates and became space pirates roaming the universe. Others, however, were not content to wander aimlessly and longed for the days when the three Frost Demon leaders were alive and at the height of their power. As time passed, these individuals gradually came together and united for a common goal. That goal was to resurrect their former leader, the one considered the most talented among the three Frost Demons, King Frieza. The decision to resurrect Frieza was carefully considered by these individuals. To defeat the mighty Saiyans, they first needed to resurrect a formidable warrior who could match the Saiyans. Among the three Frost Demons, Frieza was the youngest and held the most potential. Cooler and Cold had trained relentlessly for over a decade after Frieza's death, only to be defeated by the Saiyans, so they were no longer considered viable candidates. Furthermore, choosing Frieza took into account the fact that, during the time when the three Frost Demon leaders were alive, Frieza's force expanded externally at the most rapid pace among the three major Frost Demon forces. At this moment, hearing Sorbet's instructions, a warrior named Tagoma beside him asked, "Lord Sorbet, can the Dragon Balls really bring back King Frieza? He's been dead for decades." "Of course," Sorbet replied. "You've seen the information about the Dragon Balls, haven't you? Cold Force went to planet Namek in search of the Dragon Balls back in the day. But, my lord, the information also says that there are Dragon Balls on Earth. Why spend so many years searching for the Namekians' new planet?" Tagoma was puzzled. "You fool! How can we just go and obtain the Dragon Balls on Earth? Have you forgotten that the Saiyan King Lin Chen's residence is on Earth? It's said that besides Lin Chen, there are several other Super Saiyans living there. If we go to Earth, we'd probably be killed before we can even gather all the Dragon Balls. Do you have the confidence to challenge those Super Saiyans, Tagoma? But Namekians' Dragon Balls are different. I heard that as long as you pass their trial, they will grant everyone a chance to use the Dragon Balls." Tagoma remained silent. While he hadn't fought a Super Saiyan himself, during the Galactic Federation's campaigns, he had watched the battle recordings of the Super Saiyan from Planet Vegeta, such as Bardock. Putting himself in the other's shoes, he didn't think he was the other's opponent. And these were said to be some of the weakest Super Saiyan. So, it was safer to go through the Namekians' trial and obtain the right to use the Dragon Balls. But, Lord Sorbet, can King Frieza really defeat those Saiyans? Of course. Sorbet said firmly. Tagoma, you haven't seen King Frieza before, have you? No, I served in the guerrilla army. Then that's why. Once you've seen King Frieza, you'll understand his terror. Although King Cooler and King Cold are dead, if it's King Frieza, he will definitely find a way to defeat those detestable Saiyans. All right, prepare for landing. Yes, sir. After Tagoma left, Sorbet muttered to himself with a hint of resentment, "I hope my decision is right." If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't see their future, Sorbet would have preferred not to resurrect King Frieza. He was a moody demon, and if they're not careful, they could die at his hands before they even deal with the Saiyans. New Planet Namek. Since the previous Elder Slug passed away, the Namekians who had relocated here, under the leadership of the new Elder Muri, started living a reclusive life once again. They concealed themselves on the planet, no longer actively engaging with the outside world. As a result, very few knew about the new planet Namek's location or that they have the Dragon Balls containing miracle power. However, one day, strangers from the starry sky disrupted the peaceful life on new planet Namek. But to the relief of the Namekians, these strangers did not appear hostile. "Excuse me, could you please repeat your purpose for coming here?" When these strangers found Muri, he almost thought he had misheard. Well, you see, we wish to obtain the opportunity to use the Dragon Balls through the Namekians' ancient trial, replied Sorbet, the leader of the group, with an innocent smile. But Muri couldn't take their intentions lightly, especially when he noticed the battle armor worn by him bearing the emblem of the Frieza Force. The style of the Frieza Force battle armor closely resembled that of the Cold Force that had previously attacked planet Namek. Despite not seeing it for over a decade, Muri recognized it at a glance. So, he was highly suspicious that these people might be affiliated with the demon who had attacked planet Namek back then. However, this time, the request made by the strangers was one Muri couldn't refuse. Do you know the details of the ceremony? Of course, Sorbet nodded. According to Namekian tradition, to gain the opportunity to use the Dragon Balls, one must undergo trials administered by the 7 village elders. These trials are related to factors such as wisdom, courage, and strength. Is that correct? Indeed, Muri confirmed. Since you seem well informed, I will inform the elders of the various villages to conduct Dragon Ball trials for you. Please proceed to the first village. Okay, thank you. With Mori's permission, Sorbet and his team returned to their ship to prepare for the upcoming trials. This time, Sorbet's ship had a small number of combatants, but many of them were newly recruited. While these individuals didn't boast high power level, each possessed unique skills, and were handpicked by Sorbet for this journey to new planet Namek. However, this motley crew left Tagoma deeply puzzled. Lord Sorbet, are we really relying on these people to obtain the Dragon Balls? Why not use force directly? I just checked, and the most powerful person on this planet has a power level of only a few tens of thousands. You fool! Haven't I already explained? We absolutely cannot resort to violence. These Namekians have close ties to that Saiyan king. If we act recklessly, the Saiyans may be alerted before we can secure all the Dragon Balls. So, let's honestly pass the Namekians' trial. Once we have the Dragon Balls, we won't need to engage in battle. But what if we can't pass the trials? The short Sorbet's eyes gleamed coldly. If it comes to that, we'll have no choice but to eliminate these Namekians. Namekians' Dragon Ball trials hadn't been held for decades. It was recently started again. The last one took place nearly 40 years ago, with the visit of a young Saiyan. So, not only Sorbet but also many Namekians were unfamiliar with the details of the trial. So, trouble started for Sorbet and his group as soon as the trial began. Several of his subordinates failed consecutively. Fortunately, Sorbet had brought along a sufficient number of individuals this time. These were not warriors, many of them were from various walks of life in the galaxy. They don't possess formidable power level, but they have their own ways of surviving. Relying on these people's little knowledge, Sorbet and his group, though faced hardships, gradually passed the trial, and the number of Dragon Balls in their possession increased. With the help of these people's limited wisdom, Sorbet and others, though faced hardships, gradually passed the trial, and the number of Dragon Balls in their possession increased. As Sorbet gazed upon the collected orange Dragon Balls, a glimmer of joy flashed in his narrow eyes. Soon, King Frieza can be revived. He said excitedly, "Very good, everyone. Once King Frieza is revived, everyone's rewards will double." Encouraged by Sorbet's promise, the aliens put in their best efforts. Soon, they successfully passed all the subsequent trials one by one. Even a trial related to kindness was successfully cleared by an alien trickster who excelled in deception. Before long, all 7 bright Dragon Balls were collected. Since Sorbet and his group had passed the trials after many years, as a mark of respect, Great Elder Muri personally recited the summoning chant for the Dragon Balls. However, he was unaware of the terrifying wish these people wanted to make. "Come forth, Purunga, and grant my wish." Hearing Muri summon Purunga using Namekian language, Sorbet realized that the planet Namek's Dragon Balls required specific language for summoning. He was somewhat relieved that they had not shown any malice towards the Namekians at the beginning, or he would have no idea on how to summon Porunga even after collecting all the Dragon Balls. Shortly after Elder Mori's words, the sky began to change, and vast dark clouds rolled in. After a burst of lightning and thunder, Porunga appeared. As the entire planet plunged into a pitch-black darkness, golden lightning bolts flashed in the clouds. With an overwhelming pressure, Porunga's enormous body appeared in midair. The ones who have gathered all 7 Dragon Balls, state thy wishes, but you can only have 3. After the tall and sturdy divine dragon Porunga appeared, its massive head gazed down at the people below, and its resonant voice made those who were seeing the divine dragon for the first time feel as if they were about to go deaf. 3 wishes. Sorbet was momentarily surprised and then exclaimed with joy, "My first wish is to revive King Frieza." However, there was no response from Porunga after Sorbet made his wish. Just as Sorbet was feeling confused, Elder Mori explained, "Guests, you must make your wishes in the Namekian language, just like when summoning." Oh. Sorbet secretly rejoiced that he hadn't taken a forceful approach, as trying to make these Namekians grant his wishes would have proven extremely difficult. Then, "Ill trouble the great elder. I want King Frieza to be revived." "Very well," Mori nodded, without delving further into it. After all, in this world, it was Cold who attacked planet Namek, not Frieza. So, the Namekians had no knowledge of the so-called King Frieza, who was, in reality, a more terrifying existence than King Cold. When Mori spoke in the Namekian language, Porunga in the sky did not immediately grant the wish but said, "This wish is somewhat difficult." "Huh? What's going on?" Sorbet was perplexed. Wasn't it said that Porunga could grant any wish? How could it be so challenging to revive someone? However, Porunga soon explained, "This person named Frieza has been dead for a long time, and his body was completely destroyed back then. To revive him, I must first restore his body and then bring him back to life. Furthermore, he died on the already destroyed planet Tiu, so to resurrect him, I need to move his soul here. So, to grant the wish of reviving Frieza, it will require a total of 3 wishes." "All 3 wishes?" Sorbet was momentarily stunned but quickly said, "Fine. 3 wishes it is. As long as King Frieza can be resurrected." Seeing this, Mori conveyed Sorbet's intention to Porunga using the Namekian language. "No problem, thy wish can be granted." Porunga's eyes flashed with a red light, and immediately, before everyone's eyes, a small, petite figure appeared whose entire body was snow white. As this figure appeared, Elder Mori, who had initially not thought much of it, suddenly widened his eyes. Though there were some differences, the figure that had appeared was strikingly similar to King Cold, who had attacked them in the past. It was only at this moment that Mori sensed danger. "Is this Frieza is a frost demon?" "Huh? Didn't we tell you?" Seeing the truth exposed, Sorbet didn't hide it anymore and dropped the friendly facade completely. With a wave of his hand, Tagoma, who had been standing nearby, immediately moved behind Elder Mori. "Don't move. You deceived us." Mori's hateful gaze bore into Sorbet. He had never imagined that he would end up aiding the revival of a frost demon. Sorbet smirked, "We didn't deceive you, we merely concealed some facts. Don't make any sudden moves. Today is the day of King Frieza's revival, and I don't want any bloodshed." As the two conversed, the snow-white figure that had been lying on the ground finally opened his eyes. He stood up, stretched his limbs, and emitted an eerie and malevolent aura from throughout his body. "I've actually come back to life." Frieza couldn't believe it. How many years has it been? He had spent decades in that detestable hell, never imagining that there would be a day he would get revived. "Ha ha ha, I've truly come back to life." Frieza laughed maniacally, and at that moment, all the power within him burst forth, emanating a tremendous energy that made the entire planet tremble. This power caused the bodies of the Namekians on the planet to shudder uncontrollably, feeling as though their very souls were freezing. "King Frieza, welcome back. It was I who revived you. Sorbet, though trembling uncontrollably himself, managed to step forward and speak. Oh. Who are you? Frieza turned to look at Sorbet, his gaze colder than the frigid void of space. Sorbet hurriedly explained, I am Sorbet, a former member of the Frieza force. This operation to revive you was planned by me. Oh. Frieza replied indifferently. Frieza force in those days was massive, and there were tens of thousands of support officers like Sorbet, who seemed to have no combat abilities at all. He couldn't possibly know every single one of them. Frieza looked around and realized that he was on a somewhat unfamiliar planet, and there was a massive figure nearby. Where is this place? What is that thing? My lord, this is new planet Namek, and that is the divine dragon of planet Namek. I used planet Namek's divine dragon to resurrect you. Planet Namek's divine dragon? I seem to have heard of it. Frieza muttered to himself and then remembered the time when Lin Chen had mentioned the divine dragon that could grant any wish. So, this is the divine dragon. Frieza's eyes sparkled with excitement. He had suffered a miserable defeat at the hands of Lin Chen back then, but now, if there was a divine dragon that could grant any wish, couldn't he wish for victory over Lin Chen? Frieza gazed eagerly at the divine dragon, but at that moment, the divine dragon said, Your wishes have been fulfilled. Farewell. In the next moment, the divine dragon in the sky disappeared. Frieza was stunned for a moment before angrily shouting, What's going on? Where did the divine dragon go? My lord, to resurrect you, we used up the wishes. However, according to the information we've gathered, we can summon the divine dragon again and make a wish in 3 months. Oh. Very well, Frieza turned towards the Namekians who stood motionless nearby. Are these Namekians? Tell them to hand over the Dragon Balls. From now on, the Dragon Balls will be my private property. That's not possible. Just as Elder Muri and the others' expression turned pale, Sorbet offered a word of caution. Frieza's gaze turned cold as he scanned Sorbet. Sorbet, what do you mean? Sorbet quickly explained, My lord, times have changed. Now is not the time to use force recklessly. Huh? Frieza frowned, confused by Sorbet's words. Currently, most planets in the universe are under the control of the Galactic Federation, and the Saiyans from Planet Vegeta are behind the Galactic Federation. If we use force here, we'll be pursued by the entire Galactic Federation, and there's a chance that Super Saiyans might come after us. So, unless absolutely necessary, we cannot use force, my lord. Even this time, we didn't force the Namekians to summon the divine dragon. We obtained the opportunity for a wish through their traditional ceremony. So, my lord, please think carefully. Very well, those damned Saiyans, it seems I underestimated them in the past. Frieza's eyes flickered with flames of anger. What had happened in the decades since his death that allowed those Saiyans to rise to power? He should have been the one ruling the universe. It was all because of that detestable Saiyan, that detestable Lin Chen. Anger burned in his chest, but he finally said with a cold expression, Sorbet, is it? Yes, King Frieza, Sorbet responded eagerly, feeling flattered. Where is my spaceship? Hurry and take me away from this wretched place. Yes, my lord, this way, please. Sorbet immediately led Frieza towards their spaceship. As they departed, Elder Muri and the others breathed a sigh of relief. Nail! Muri shouted to someone behind him. Soon, Namekian Nail rushed over. Great Elder. Muri instructed, Nail, quickly fetch the communicator and contact Planet Vegeta. We must inform them about what happened today. A frost demon has been resurrected. I understand. Nail nodded and flew in the direction of the village. For the Namekians, frost demons were always a nightmare. Although the resurrected frost demon had not done anything yet, it was crucial to warn the Saiyans. However, as Nail was midway through his way, he suddenly noticed that the sun overhead had become much brighter. Squinting, Nail looked up in astonishment and saw that in the sky of new planet Namek, there were now 4 suns. Upon closer inspection, he realized that the extra sun was, in fact, a massive and incredibly bright energy sphere. "Damn you, Frost Demon!" Just as Nail exclaimed in surprise, the land on new planet Namek shook with a deafening explosion. A dazzling and enormous fireball appeared in space. New planet Namek briefly shone like a fireworks display, and along with all the life on it, turned into cosmic dust. At that moment, the culprit, Frieza, watched the fireworks he had unleashed in space and burst into laughter. On the bridge of the spaceship, Tagoma watched the disappearing planet with trembling hands and asked, "Lord Sorbet, did we do the right thing?" "I don't know, but there's no turning back now." "Turning back? No need to turn back. Sorbet, Frieza, will lead you all back to those glorious times." Suddenly, a sharp voice sounded behind them. They turned around to find that Frieza had returned. Both of them immediately knelt on the ground, hoping that Frieza would spare them for their earlier conversation. But it seemed they worried too much. After venting his anger on new planet Namek, Frieza was in a much better mood. "Don't worry, I've already vented my anger. Sorbet, tell me about the current situation in the universe." "Yes." Inside the spaceship, Sorbet began to explain in a respectful manner, detailing all the changes that had happened in Universe 7 since Frieza's death. This included a lot of information they had purchased at a high cost, such as the attack on Planet Vegeta and the existence of androids and others on Earth. Frieza stood by the window, holding a glass of red wine. He hadn't expected that the world would change so dramatically in the decades since his death. Even more surprising was that his father and older brother had also died at the hands of the Saiyans. Even if they had become more powerful than he had known, they couldn't escape death. Saiyans. I underestimated them in the past. My lord, we recently received news that those Saiyans have even eliminated Majin Buu. Majin Buu? Frieza took a deep breath. He suddenly realized that his thoughts after being resurrected were too simplistic. Originally, he had planned to immediately reassemble the Frieza force and seek revenge on the Saiyans on Planet Vegeta. But now he realized that if he did that, he might meet a miserable end. "No, I must undergo a period of training." Frieza thought coldly. Over the past few decades, his life in hell had not been entirely unhelpful. To endure those inhumane tortures, Frieza had been constantly honing his mental strength. Decades of spiritual training had made his willpower incredibly strong. He believed that with just a few more months of effort, he could make another breakthrough. "Heh, Saiyans, enjoy your moment of triumph while it lasts. When I've completed my training, it will be your doomsday." Heh. A few days later, on Earth, Goku and Vegeta had already gone to God of Destruction's planet. Meanwhile, Lin Chen, who had returned, was enjoying a rare vacation. But at this moment, Piccolo, along with Kamehame-ha, suddenly arrived at his home. They brought grievous news from Planet Namek. New Planet Namek has been destroyed. When Lin Chen heard this news, he couldn't help but be startled. Although the Namekians had moved to the new planet Namek and abandoned Slug's previous strategy, returning to the peaceful life that they originally led, they still joined the Galactic Federation, becoming one of their members and receiving protection from them. Who could have dared to attack them? He immediately inquired, "What happened exactly? Dend, how did you find out about this?" "It seems like Planet Vegeta didn't receive a distress call from new planet Namek, did it?" "They didn't have time to send a distress call. Mr. Lin Chen, in fact, the destruction of new planet Namek happened suddenly, and they couldn't send a signal to Planet Vegeta in time." The sudden news seemed to have taken a toll on Dend, and he said sadly, "I only learned about it after receiving the news from North Kai. I have confirmed the details by speaking with the soul of Elder Muri in the other world. About a few days ago, a group of aliens arrived on new planet Namek, and they wanted to undergo the Namekians' Dragon Ball trial. Elder Muri, following tradition, granted their request, but little did he know that these people had ulterior motives. After they successfully passed the trial and summoned Purunga to make a wish, Elder Muri discovered that these aliens were remnants of the Frieza force. Their wish was to resurrect the deceased frost demon, Frieza. Upon hearing the name Frieza, Lin Chen was initially stunned but quickly realized. It was hard to believe that decades had passed, and this former emperor of the universe had been resurrected again. Although in the original work, Frieza was revived around this time and even achieved a significant power boost, transforming into Golden Frieza, the current storyline had many differences from the original, as Frieza had died many years earlier. Lin Chen had thought that the remnants of the Frieza force should have been long gone, and no one would be interested in resurrecting him. Unexpectedly, as the leader, Frieza seemed to have a somewhat unique charm over his subordinates. "Dend, don't be too upset. If new planet Namek is destroyed, we can use Earth's Dragon Balls to restore it, and your people can be revived as well," Lin Chen reassured. "But, Mr. Lin Chen, Earth's divine dragon cannot revive people who have already been brought back to life. Then let's use Planet Vegeta's divine dragon. I'll talk to Bardock. After you use Earth's divine dragon to restore the planet, well, bring the Namekians back to life." "Thank you very much, Mr. Lin Chen," Dend bowed deeply to Lin Chen. His main reason for coming to find Lin Chen this time was to obtain Lin Chen's permission to use Planet Vegeta's Dragon Balls. After seeing Dend and others off, Han Asia, who had been listening in on their conversation the whole time, inquired, "Your Majesty, should we inform Bardock and others and have them look for Frieza's whereabouts? Should we eliminate them directly?" Han Asia had died at Frieza's hands for the first time, so she was well aware of his sinister nature. But Lin Chen immediately rejected Han Asia's suggestion, saying, "No need to bother with them. With Bardock and their current strength, although they might not necessarily be able to defeat Frieza, eradicating Frieza's remnants was not a problem at all." However, Lin Chen didn't want them to do so. Because, when it came to Golden Frieza, Lin Chen was still quite interested. Due to various reasons, Lin Chen had eliminated this world's Frieza long ago, so the charismatic rebel, a prominent character in the original work, hadn't been active in Lin Chen's world for long. Now that Frieza finally had a chance to return, Lin Chen was curious to see what kind of abilities this Ice Emperor possessed that could allow him to leap from a level that was inferior to even Super Saiyan to one that could rival Super Saiyan Blue. Lin Chen wanted to witness Frieza's capabilities, and others were eager as well. Upon hearing about Frieza, Lin Luo and Taro said to Lin Chen, "Dad, if Frieza comes, let us deal with him." Taro even added, "Dad, I want to avenge Mom. Let me handle Frieza." "Ah, don't underestimate Frieza. Although his power was average back then, the potential of the Frost Demons is not to be underestimated. Frieza, in particular, is a rare genius among the Frost Demon race. If he puts in the effort to train, you might not be a match for him." Lin Chen smiled and agreed to let them take on Frieza. The question was, if Golden Frieza truly had power comparable to Super Saiyan Blue, Lin Luo and Taro might still not be a match for him. "That's okay. If he can train, why can't we? Dad, can you teach us?" "Very well, in that case, let me take you both to a special place for training." Lin Chen smiled faintly and decided to take the two of them to a unique location for their training. Meanwhile, in the deep and dark expanse of the universe, a spacecraft was navigating through the starry sky. On board, there was Garana, the former division commander of the Frieza force, and his subordinates. Due to the destruction of the Frieza force, Garana and his subordinates had become space pirates, struggling to survive. However, they had recently received news that Frieza, the former supreme leader of the Frieza force, had been resurrected and was gathering the scattered Frieza force warriors from all over again. Upon receiving this news, Garana immediately prepared to investigate what was happening. But during their flight, one of Garana's subordinates suddenly exclaimed, "Lord Garana! There are two unidentified flying objects ahead of the ship. They seem to be people. What? This is outer space. Garana rushed to a window to look outside and indeed saw two figures floating in space. One of them appeared to be a woman, while the other looked like a chubby cat. Are there really people out here? My goodness, who are they? Just as Garana was observing, it seemed that the two figures outside had also noticed them. The chubby cat turned its head and pointed at Garana, and a purple energy instantly engulfed Garana's spaceship, swallowing it whole. Kamehame-ha, this is Universe 7. If you use energy of destruction so casually, it will attract Beerus-sama's attention, warned Vados. Alright, I know. I will be more careful next time. Kampa, the god of destruction of Universe 6, who resembled a chubby cat, placed his hands on his hips and said, Vados, let's quickly find the wishing beads. Once we locate the remaining wishing beads, we can obtain a planet full of delicious food. That Beerus will surely be jealous. Thinking about Beerus' envious expression in the future, Kampa burst into laughter. God of Destruction's realm. This is a place inhabited by a god much smaller compared to the sacred world of the Kai. The most conspicuous in the divine realm was the rhombus-shaped God of Destruction's planet. And this planet was the residence of God of Destruction Beerus. In the past, God of Destruction's planet only had God of Destruction Beerus and Angel Whis, and later, they were joined by the God of Destruction candidate Broly. But recently, 3 more guests had arrived. When Lin Chen brought his 2 sons to this place, the first thing he saw was Goku and Vegeta, both wearing heavy gravity suits, training. Wow! Is this God of Destruction's planet? It seems much more interesting than the sacred world of the Kai. Taro exclaimed as he looked around curiously. Being their first visit here, Taro looked around curiously, while Lin Luo looked at his father with a strange expression. Dad, did you bring us here to have God of Destruction teach us? It's not God of Destruction, it's the Angel Whis. When it comes to being a teacher, Mr. Whis is an expert, Lin Chen explained with a smile. In fact, besides hoping that Whis would guide his 2 children, Lin Chen also wanted to ask Whis some questions. Sensing the aura of the 3 people, Goku and the others immediately stopped their training, and Whis, along with Beerus and Broly, floated over. Seeing that the person who had arrived was Lin Chen, Beerus immediately shouted, Lin Chen. What are you doing here? Are you trying to steal my God of Destruction's position? As he spoke, Beerus gathered the power of destruction in his hand. Lin Chen looked at him and smiled slightly. Beerus-sama, do you want to have another round with me? Alright, Beerus-sama. Don't get agitated. Let me ask Lin Chen about his purpose. Whis said with a smile, extending his scepter to dispel the power of destruction in Beerus' hand. Seeing this, Beerus didn't say anything more but glared at Lin Chen. Mr. Lin Chen, are you here to look around God of Destruction's planet? Whis asked. Of course not, Mr. Whis. Actually, I would like you to teach my 2 children, Lin Chen said, pushing Lin Luo and Taro forward. The 2 children, following his instructions, immediately bowed to Whis. Beerus, on the other hand, snorted, Lin Chen, you're dreaming if you think we would teach your children. It's not like I'm asking you to do it for free. I've brought quite a few gifts, Lin Chen said as he produced a pile of hoi poi capsules. Each capsule was filled with various earth delicacies. Whis knew how to use these capsules and casually opened one, revealing a mountain of instant noodles inside. Seeing these instant noodles, both Whis and Beerus' eyes lit up. Although they had already obtained quite a bit of food from Vegeta during their last visit, the number of people on the planet has increased from 3 to 5, and Saiyans were known for their large appetites. So, most of the food Whis had brought back had already been consumed. What Lin Chen brought this time was like sending charcoal in snowy weather. Seeing this pile of instant noodles, Beerus' expression finally softened a bit. He grabbed several boxes of instant noodles and hurriedly went to prepare them. Seeing this, Whis smiled and said, it seems Beerus-sama has agreed. Alright then, I can teach them. Thank you. Whis wasted no time and immediately have the two children put on gravity suits, then had Goku and Vegeta teach them how to begin their training. He then turned to look at Lin Chen. Mr. Lin Chen, I assume you must have some other reason for coming, right? As expected, I can't hide anything from Mr. Whis. Lin Chen chuckled and explained, you're right, I didn't come here just for the two children. I actually have some things I'd like to trouble Mr. Whis with. Oh ho ho, Whis couldn't help but laugh. Mr. Lin Chen, don't joke with me. For someone who has completely mastered Ultra Instinct, I don't think there's much I can teach you. Lin Chen chuckled and shook his head, revealing his true intentions. As it turns out, besides bringing his children here for training, Lin Chen's main purpose for this trip was for himself. Lin Chen wanted to inquire about Ultra Instinct from Whis. Despite his previous use of perfect Ultra Instinct to thoroughly defeat Beerus, Lin Chen knew that he had relied on an Ultra Instinct experience card to achieve that level of performance. After the card expired, he couldn't replicate that state again. In the days that followed, Lin Chen tried to find ways to enter Ultra Instinct state on his own but he failed. So, reluctantly, Lin Chen decided to seek guidance from Whis. Upon hearing this, Whis' eyes widened, appearing somewhat puzzled. You want me to give advice on Ultra Instinct? But, Mr. Lin Chen, didn't you use perfect Ultra Instinct that day? Mr. Whis, to be honest, I actually don't know how to use Ultra Instinct. What happened that day was due to Dragon Balls. Let me put it this way, I used an item at the time that allowed me to temporarily enter perfect Ultra Instinct state. Whis covered his mouth in amazement, so, it can be done like that. Mr. Lin Chen, you really fooled Beerus-sama so badly. Whis glanced in the direction Beerus had gone, then thought for a moment before saying, Mr. Lin Chen, I can teach you Ultra Instinct. However, you must promise me that you won't tell Beerus-sama about this. Because of that incident, Beerus-sama is quite motivated now, and I don't want to see him return to his old lazy self. Deal. Ultra Instinct was one of the most mysterious techniques in the Dragon Ball world, and it was also a powerful secret of the angel race. Though Lin Chen's strength was already formidable, he couldn't afford to ignore this technique if he wanted to progress further, especially after experiencing its power during the battle with Beerus. Taking precautions for the future, even though he couldn't rule out the possibility of obtaining an Ultra Instinct reward from the system, Lin Chen felt that he should at least learn the basics. After reaching an agreement with Whis, Lin Chen left his two children behind and left God of Destruction's planet by himself. Since he needed to keep it a secret from Beerus, Lin Chen couldn't possibly learn Ultra Instinct on God of Destruction's planet. After discussing with Whis, they decided to conduct the training in a secluded location within the sacred world of the Kai. In a quiet corner of the sacred world of the Kai, with everything prepared, Whis began to teach Lin Chen the secrets of Ultra Instinct. Mr. Lin Chen, the key to understanding Ultra Instinct lies in grasping the natural rhythm, and freeing yourself from the limitations of your body. In simple terms, Ultra Instinct required one to relinquish control over their body, allowing it to move freely in combat, a state of without self, without mind, without sound, without Brea the profound level. This style of combat is also fundamentally different from the prevalent methods of using ki and eyes to sense the surroundings in the universe. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, nearly a year had gone by. Meanwhile, on a remote planet far from Earth, far from Planet Vegeta, and far from the Galactic Federation, a dark gold figure stood on the ground. Standing on this planet, shrouded in perpetual darkness but dotted with scorching volcanoes, it resembled hell. The golden figure stretched his body, took a deep breath, and then burst into hearty laughter. He, it's finally done. I've finally perfected my latest form. Since his resurrection, Frieza had been training on this planet for almost a year. Actually, his training had already concluded half a year ago. Past failures drove Frieza, and the pain and torture in hell toughened his spirit to an extraordinary degree. These factors allowed Frieza to complete his new transformation half a year ago, granting him power that was nearly on par with God's. In the face of his new transformation, Frieza's two relatives, Cooler and Cold's transformation, seemed like a mere joke. However, unlike the original work, Frieza did not immediately seek revenge. He was well aware that he was facing Lin Chen, the Saiyan whom even Majin Buu was unable to defeat, and who is said to rival gods. The failures of his father and brother made Frieza cautious. So, even after gaining his new power, Frieza remained cautious and continued to train on this planet for another half-year, overcoming the weakness of extreme energy consumption associated with his new transformation. Only then did he resolve to seek revenge. Ho ho ho, I've become powerful enough. It seems I can go look for those Saiyan monkeys now. My strength has broken through to a whole new realm. My brother and father won't understand, mere physical enhancement is not the future of our frost demon race. Only the fusion of spirit and body can unlock the frost demon's strongest power. He Lin Chen, you just wait for my revenge. Frieza couldn't help but burst into laughter, and the dark golden glow emanating from his body shone as brilliantly as a sun on this dark planet. Golden form, this was a brand new transformation of the frost demon race that neither Cooler or Cold, when possessed by Jinyu, had been able to achieve back then. Compared to Cooler and Cold's fourth and fifth transformation, Frieza's golden form is not just several times or tens of times more powerful, it is hundreds or thousands of times more powerful. With this immense power, Frieza almost felt invincible. Berry Blue, Sorbet. Prepare the ship immediately. As Frieza's voice echoed across the planet, everyone else on the planet sprang into action. A disc-shaped spaceship approached from the distance, and Frieza, with his hands behind his back, entered the spaceship. After stepping into the cabin, Frieza suddenly remembered something. Oh, and don't forget to bring that fellow with us. He had also worked hard this past year. Ho ho ho. Yes. Two Frieza Forces soldiers nodded. Once Frieza had left, the two soldiers flew out of the spaceship to search the ground. Soon enough, they found the individual Frieza had mentioned. Wow, this guy looks pitiful. Are his bones all shattered? He's quite a monster, too. I heard that this guy has been subjected to injuries like this every day for the past year. If he were an ordinary person, he would have died long ago. Meanwhile, on the spaceship's bridge, Frieza arrived. A sly old lady with blue skin floated over. She was none other than Frieza's caretaker, Berry Blue. She poured Frieza a glass of wine and then went on to stand to the side. Then, Sorbet approached as well. My lord, what are your orders? Frieza took a sip of the wine and sneered, my training is complete, and now it's time for me to seek revenge. Sorbet, command the fleet to set course for Planet Vegeta. I want those Saiyans to regret everything they did. Hearing this, Sorbet's eyes widened. King Frieza, Planet Vegeta is the Saiyan stronghold. Are we going there just like this? Shouldn't we gather more people? Gathering cannon fodder is pointless. I alone am enough to deal with those Saiyans. Sorbet. Are you refusing my orders? Sorbet shivered, not daring to defy Frieza's will. He immediately stood at attention. Understood, King Frieza. We are going to Planet Vegeta now. To avoid being detected on the way, we'll need to activate the stealth device, and it will take about 2 weeks to reach there. 2 weeks is a bit too long. Go at full speed. Frieza squinted his eyes, his purple lips curling slightly. He was eager to unleash havoc on Planet Vegeta. Sorbet looked troubled, but fortunately, at this moment, Baraburu stepped in to help him out. King Frieza, the Galactic Federation's territory is quite vast now. If we go at full speed, we might not reach Planet Vegeta before the Saiyans are prepared for us. What does that matter? It'll just kill them all. Frieza said confidently, his words cold. Berry Blue added, but, my lord, even if you can do that, in this dire situation, are you willing to expend your precious energy on those cannon fodder? As you said, now the Frieza force is nothing more than a group of useless trash. The only thing you can rely on is your own power. Frieza fell into silence, not saying a word. But Sorbet was at a loss about what to do. The order from Frieza had already been given, and if he didn't convey them, what should he do if he were blamed later? Fortunately, Frieza finally spoke. Very well, Sorbet, activate the stealth device. Understood. Activate the stealth device. Sorbet shivered once more but finally breathed a sigh of relief. Time passed slowly. 2 weeks later, Frieza's spaceship gradually approached the star system where Planet Vegeta was located. Soon, they would arrive at Planet Vegeta. Watching the screen displaying the busy and frequent flight routes, Frieza understood Sorbet's earlier intention. Indeed, if they didn't hide their presence on such crowded routes, the Saiyans would easily discover them. Those damned Saiyan. In just a few decades, they're about to become the center of the universe. Frieza stared at the screen, holding a glass of wine but not drinking it. Instead, he clenched his teeth. Yes, King Frieza. If there are no changes, it won't be long before Planet Vegeta becomes the center of the universe, Sorbet replied respectfully. Humph. Frieza snorted, drained the glass of red wine, and walked to the porthole, a cruel smile forming at the corner of his mouth. Damn Saiyan monkeys, your end is here. Planet Vegeta. As the Galactic Federation expanded, once primitive and backward planets are becoming increasingly technologically advanced. Being the headquarters of the Galactic Federation, numerous high-tech equipment were brought to this planet to manage affairs throughout the galaxy. This time, it was these equipment that were able to detect the movements of Frieza and his party in advance. When Frieza's spaceship entered the star system where Planet Vegeta was located, even though they had activated their stealth device, the people on Planet Vegeta immediately discovered their presence. Cooler Core had once used ships equipped with stealth devices to launch a surprise attack on Planet Vegeta. Learning from past mistakes, Planet Vegeta had developed new anti-stealth detection equipment to prevent such incidents from happening again. This time, it was these devices that detected Frieza's spaceship in advance. Soon, the relevant warnings were delivered to Paragus, who was in charge of planetary security matters. Are you sure that it's Frost Demon's ship? Hearing that a ship with an activated stealth device was approaching Planet Vegeta, Paragus was somewhat surprised. Especially when he heard that the ship's design was identical to the ones used by the Frost Demon race in the past, his surprise deepened. Since Lin Chen had wiped out King Cold on Planet Vegeta more than a decade ago, the Frost Demon race should have become extinct. The remnants of the Frost Demon army had since been terrified of the Saiyans and dared not confront them. But now someone actually dared to come to Planet Vegeta. And judging from their use of a stealth device, it was clear that the visitors were not coming with good intentions. Yes, it has been confirmed, and according to the system's identification, the enemy's ship appears to belong to the flagship model of the former Frieza Force. Frieza Force? Paragus frowned. He remembered that about a year ago, there had been reports from Earth that the new planet Namek had been attacked by the Frieza Force. They had also resurrected the former Universal Emperor, Frieza, and destroyed new planet Namek, necessitating the use of Planet Vegeta's Dragon Balls to revive the deceased Namekians. Could it be that Frieza himself was on the ship? As an old Saiyan, Paragus had a deep impression of Frieza. Thinking of Frieza's brutal deeds from back then, Paragus couldn't help but become nervous. Notify the Planet Vegeta security team immediately, and all personnel should cancel their leave. Summon all Super Saiyan gods to report to headquarters immediately. Have Bardock and the others come over too. Tell them this is an emergency. I understand. Soon, the atmosphere on Planet Vegeta began to tense up. Even the other alien races on the planet began to sense the unusual tension among the Saiyans, which was unlike their usual demeanor. Before long, the higher-ups of Saiyans had all assembled. Frieza. Upon hearing Paragus' report, King Vegeta asked in surprise, his face quickly turning serious. Frieza, a name they hadn't heard in years. But for the older generation Saiyans, he was a nightmare they could never escape. Everyone, I propose we contact His Majesty immediately. Although Frieza has been dead for decades, the fact that he dares to come here means he must have some confidence. I don't think relying solely on the planet's defense forces is safe. I agree, Bardock also nodded. The cunning of Frieza was well known to the older Saiyans. After reaching a consensus, they quickly used their communicators to contact Han-Asia on Earth, hoping that Lin Chen could come to Planet Vegeta to oversee the situation. Unfortunately, from Han-Asia, they learned that Lin Chen had not yet returned, and even Goku and Vegeta were on God of Destruction's planet and had not returned. What? They're all not here. Upon hearing this, Bardock couldn't help but feel anxious. Lin Chen, Goku, and Vegeta were among the strongest Saiyans today. With a formidable enemy approaching, the fact that they couldn't arrive in time is truly unsettling. Queen Han-Asia, do you have a way to contact them? Frieza is about to arrive at Planet Vegeta, and without His Majesty and the others here, we can't feel at ease. Well, Han-Asia looked somewhat helpless as she glanced at Tights and the others by her side. Fortunately, at that moment, Tights suddenly clapped her hands and said, "Oh, I believe Bulma gave a communicator to Mr. Whis. Wait a moment, I'll have Bulma contact them." Hearing that there was hope to contact Goku and the others, Bardock breathed a sigh of relief. With the strength of Goku and the others, as long as one of them could make it to Planet Vegeta, they didn't have to worry too much. However, after a while, there was still no news from Tights and Bulma, and they had no idea if they had managed to make contact. Just when everyone on Planet Vegeta was becoming increasingly anxious, an evil aura suddenly permeated from outer space. The bone-chilling coldness made everyone on the planet who could sense auras feel the temperature drop by several degrees, causing shivers to run down their spines. And on the planet, many people's scouters began displaying a massive numerical value. Is this Frieza's power level? He's actually this strong. Paragus showed a shocked expression. On his scouter, it displayed that outside the atmosphere of Planet Vegeta, there was currently a power level reading with an energy reaction reaching several hundred million. This strength was already higher than even the strongest power level on the planet at the moment, including Tarbell and others. Bardock frowned, casting his deep gaze into the space tens of thousands of kilometers away. As someone who had once witnessed Frieza, he took a deep breath and said, "Frieza has indeed come prepared, and he's much stronger than he was decades ago. King Vegeta, Paragus, sound the combat alert. The coming battle will be tough. Before His Majesty and the others arrive, we must not allow Planet Vegeta to be destroyed by Frieza." Understood. King Vegeta and Paragus nodded and left. Bardock then spoke into the communicator, "Queen Han-Asia, can you have Miss Tights bring you back? I think this time we might need the Dragon Ball's assistance." "I understand. Please wait for a moment. I'll go find Tights." Just as the call temporarily cut off, Bardock suddenly heard the air raid sirens outside, and soon, a Saiyan entered. "Lord Bardock, Frieza's ship has started to descend. Lord Paragus is inquiring whether Tarbell and the others should intercept it." Bardock put on his scouter and asked, "Paragus, where is their ship going to land?" "It's in the outskirts, 50 kilometers away from the capital. Don't allow Tarbell and the others to act recklessly for now. Intercepting them at this moment might involve the capital in the battle. We should wait until they have landed before engaging in combat." "I understand." After the call ended, Bardock stared for a moment and then flew into the air, heading towards the landing site of Frieza's ship. As Bardock flew towards the location where Frieza was determined to land, young warriors scattered throughout the planet with the ability to transform into Super Saiyan God also began flying towards a single location. This terrifying energy, is it really the legendary Frieza? One Saiyan warrior said with a grim expression. "It should be him." I've heard my father talk about it. Frieza is a very terrifying monster, Tarbell chimed in from the crowd. But he is just a frost demon, how could he be so powerful? How did our ancestors defeat this monster back then? Regardless, we have to give it our all. Upon hearing these words, many felt a sense of helplessness. Although the Galactic Federation had prospered for many years and these Super Saiyan gods were much more powerful than in the past, when faced with a real threat, they realized that their power was minuscule compared to Goku, Vegeta, and even real formidable warriors like Lin Chen. This feeling of helplessness filled them with shame. Even as Super Saiyan God, they were still nothing much. Although Planet Vegeta became much more developed than before due to the Galactic Federation, the Saiyan population was limited, meaning that there were still many barren and uninhabited areas on this planet. Fortunately, Frieza's spaceship was set to land in one such uninhabited area. It was a hilly region with rugged hills scattered across the horizon. Suddenly, a dark shadow descended, blocking out the sunlight. A massive disc-shaped spaceship descended from the sky and landed on a relatively level surface. With a snap, several steel clamps extended from the bottom of the ship, sinking deep into the earth as if passing through tofu, and secured the ship in place. In the distance, Bardock and others, who were already prepared, waved their hands, and a group of Saiyan warriors assembled in front of the spaceship. "Deploy the metal Cybermen," Bardock ordered, and each Saiyan pulled out a Hoi-Poi capsule from their pockets and released a metal Cyberman from the capsules. These metal Cybermen resembled sturdy, bald Saiyans. Their model number was Metal Cyberman number 8, a new generation of disposable combat metal Cybermen developed by Dr. Brief. Their individual power level can reach up to 20 million, making them the main auxiliary force in the Saiyan combat units. As everything was ready, the spaceship's hatch finally opened. Numerous aliens dressed in battle armor poured out like a swarm of bees, quickly forming dense battle formations in the sky. However, despite their intimidating appearance, the actual combat strength of these aliens was negligible. After Frieza's death, all the elites of his army had been absorbed by cooler and cold. As for the rest, many of them have either perished or fled over the course of these years. Throughout this year, while Sorbet managed to recruit many people for Frieza, those with a power level exceeding 10,000 were few and far between. Compared to the Frieza force in its heyday, the current state is truly miserable. However, they might just be putting up a front because as they flew out of the spaceship, it can be seen that they all appeared somewhat fearful when facing Bardock and the Saiyans, their faces pale. But soon, their fear vanished when they saw a small figure emerge from the spaceship. That figure was none other than Frieza. Bardock and the older generation of Saiyans present on the scene all immediately recognized him. At this moment, Frieza was in his smallest first form, a form in which he had frequently appeared in front of others in the past. However, while his appearance resembled the past, the power level exhibited by the current Frieza made even Bardock's gaze freeze in astonishment. 150 million. Paragus said with a hint of fear. Wasn't Frieza's power level only 530,000 back then? It's been decades, he has naturally become stronger. Bardock said. At this moment, as Frieza emerged, he glanced at the Saiyans in front of him, a cold smile playing on his lips. Sorbet, it seems that Lin Chen isn't here. Sorbet, who had flown out with Frieza, scanned the area with his scouter and replied, "It appears so, King Frieza." How boring. In that case, Sorbet, let our people attack. Get rid of them. Frieza pointed his hand towards Bardock and the others, giving the order to attack. However, after this order was given, the members of the Frieza force did not immediately take action. Instead, they looked somewhat hesitant towards Frieza. They were all wearing scouters on their heads, so they were well aware of the strength of Bardock and the others. But clearly, even though Bardock and others had not transformed yet, their current power alone was not something these cannon fodder could handle. Seeing this, Frieza let out a cold snort and pointed at his own men. A death beam shot forth, piercing through the bodies of at least dozens of people. I won't repeat myself, attack. Attack. Sorbet gritted his teeth and ordered once more. As a result, the group was forced to attack Bardock and the others. They're coming, let's go. Our main target is Frieza, don't worry too much about the others. Be careful, everyone. Bardock and others quickly spread out and began to counterattack. The situation unfolded just as everyone had expected from the beginning. Frieza's subordinates appeared to be numerous, but there were hardly any true experts among them. They fell like dominoes when confronted. Especially the metal Cyberman No. 8 that the Saiyans had deployed earlier wreaked havoc among the enemy ranks. Bardock and the other Saiyans had to hold back to preserve their strength for Frieza, but the metal Cybermen showed no such restraint. Under their relentless efforts, the invading Frieza Force soldiers on Planet Vegeta fell like snowflakes. Sorbet watched anxiously from the side. These soldiers had been recruited with great effort. In this day and age, the Galactic Federation had grown powerful, and many former villains had been forced to change their ways due to their circumstances. Fewer and fewer people dared to be evildoers, and true masters were becoming increasingly scarce. It was a great pity that these soldiers had to die like this. More importantly, if King Frieza were to perceive them as not being of great use, it would be very bad. Fortunately, Frieza didn't pay too much attention to them. He simply looked at the Saiyans who were fighting and sneered, "Ho ho ho, these Saiyans, it's been decades, and they've really produced quite a few powerful people." With a quiet compliment, Frieza, who had been watching the show, finally took action himself. When Frieza's diminutive figure flew out from the crowd, a tremendous oppressive force instantly caused all the Saiyans except for the androids to freeze in their tracks. As Frieza drew nearer, the pressure continued to escalate, as if a heavy hammer had struck the chest of every individual. Bardock turned pale and was forced to transform into Super Saiyan to resist the immense pressure brought by Frieza. Following him, others at the scene also began to transform. Golden and red figures appeared one after another, causing Frieza to pause. Oh! Frieza chuckled, so many Super Saiyans. And these red-haired ones, are they the Super Saiyan god mentioned in the intel? So many Saiyans, they are really an eyesore. Just as Frieza finished speaking, a metal Cyberman No. 8, possibly thinking there were no more enemies in front of it, directed a kick towards Frieza. However, just before the metal Cyberman could get close to Frieza, it suddenly stopped, as if it had collided with an invisible barrier. Seeing the attack fail, the metal Cyberman immediately sent out a call for help. The other metal Cybermen, upon receiving the signal, abandoned their current opponents and turned to jointly attack Frieza. However, Frieza made no visible move. He simply let his aura burst out in all directions and the metal Cybermen No. 8 that were attacking him suddenly disintegrated before everyone's eyes. Frieza's casually displayed power transformed into an invisible pressure, causing cold sweat to break out on the faces of those nearby. He is Frieza. Such a terrifying guy. He just destroyed those metal Cybermen with his aura, didn't he? One of the Super Saiyan gods said, sweat dripping down his face. Frieza is surprisingly so strong. Such a monster, and we used the great ape form to attack him in the past. They couldn't believe that back when there were no Super Saiyan on Planet Vegeta, Saiyans had relied on the great ape transformation to defeat him. After easily dispatching the metal Cyberman, Frieza smirked and looked around. Come on, let me see how strong you Saiyans have become. Ha! As soon as Frieza spoke, one of the Super Saiyan god disappeared from the spot and reappeared next to Frieza, launching a powerful punch in an attempt to send him flying. However, Frieza effortlessly blocked the attack. But this Super Saiyan god had set an example for the others. Upon seeing their companion in action, Tarbell and others quickly rushed in as well. Nearly 50 Super Saiyan god began to encircle and attack Frieza. The sky suddenly erupted with a series of loud bangs. Under the loud bangs, a deafening boom suddenly erupted as Frieza was sent flying, crashing into a nearby hill within the blink of an eye. Good. Seeing Tarbell and the others finally succeeding, the Super Saiyans who had not yet participated cheered. In terms of power level, they couldn't compare to Tarbell and the Super Saiyan God, so they could only stand by and watch when the battle began. However, they didn't have long to feel happy before Bardock quickly warned, "Don't get complacent. Don't forget, Frieza is a frost demon. What we saw just now was only his weakest form, he has 3 more transformations." Upon hearing Bardock's warning, the others' faces stiffened. The weakest form? Tarbell and the others in the distance found it somewhat hard to believe. No way, right? His power level is already over 100 million, but it's his weakest form. If so, how powerful would he be after the 3 transformations? Just as these thoughts raced through their minds, a purple light suddenly erupted out from the place where Frieza had fallen. Then, the rubble that had buried Frieza seemed to be pulled by some mysterious force and began to soar into the sky. The next moment, these stones rained down upon the crowd like a hail of bullets. "Be careful!" Bardock shouted, leading everyone to defend against the hail of bullets. After finally clearing away the rubble, they realized that Frieza's aura had suddenly grown significantly. When Frieza reappeared, he was no longer in his first form but had transformed into the miniature final form. And his power level had surpassed 1 billion. Is this Frieza's final form? It seems his power level is much higher than the final form of Metal Cooler who had attacked the planet. Everyone was stunned as they beheld the true form of Frieza. Frieza slowly floated up from the ground, wearing a smirk. "Before Lin Chen and the others return, I'll use you all to warm up." In the next moment, Frieza's figure began to flash rapidly through the crowd, one Super Saiyan God after another falling from the sky. In front of Frieza, not a single person from Tarbell's group could withstand even a single blow. As Super Saiyan God fell one after another, the savagery in Frieza's heart began to grow as well. He couldn't help but burst into loud laughter as he savored the thrill of revenge. In less than a minute, there was no longer any red aura in the sky. All the Super Saiyan God, including Tarbell, had been knocked unconscious. Only Bardock and a few Super Saiyans remained, staring in fear at Frieza. After the fight ended, Frieza still felt unsatisfied. This fight didn't even count as a warm-up. He frowned and sneered, "Super Saiyan God. What a joke. A bunch of red-haired monkeys dare to call themselves God. Ridiculous." He chuckled and raised both hands. Tarbell and others lying on the ground suddenly began to float as if they were being lifted by invisible threads and they were then gathered together in one place. Not good. Seeing that Frieza had malicious intentions, Bardock couldn't hold back any longer. He roared, forming an energy sphere in his hand and hurled it toward Frieza. Spurred by Bardock, the other Super Saiyans also exerted their full power in an attempt to stop Frieza. Whoosh, energy waves surged toward Frieza from all directions. But as they approached Frieza, his eyes flashed with disdain. He kept one hand steady while the other free palm slid through the void, and the attacks from Bardock and the others immediately vanished into thin air. Everyone stared in disbelief. They never expected that a universal emperor from over 30 years ago, who had only been resurrected for a year, could grow to this level. Their attacks couldn't harm Frieza at all. "Don't be hasty, it's your turn next." Frieza sneered as he began to gather a terrifying amount of energy in his free hand, enough to destroy any planet. It seemed his goal was to use this energy to completely annihilate these Super Saiyan God. Facing this, Bardock and others felt powerless. However, at this moment, a sudden darkness cast a shadow over their heads, followed by a resounding dragon's roar that echoed through the sky. The majestic dragon's roar echoed through the sky. At this moment, everyone looked up. Seeing that the once bright daytime sky had suddenly turned pitch black, Frieza was stunned for a moment before he quickly realized the situation. Day turning into night, wasn't this the scene of summoning the divine dragon? Sorbet. King Frieza. There have indeed been reports that there might also be a divine dragon on planet Vegeta. Upon hearing Sorbet's words, Frieza immediately abandoned the Saiyans and flew into the sky, scanning the area. Soon, he spotted a golden dragon in the direction of the Saiyan capital. Is that really a divine dragon? Do those Saiyans intend to summon Lin Chen back? A cunning light flashed in Frieza's eyes as he quickly assessed the situation and then raised his hand. A sphere of energy, as radiant as the sun, appeared above his hand. Planet-destroying ball. Regardless of what wish the Saiyans intended to make with the divine dragon, Frieza had already decided to destroy planet Vegeta first. He detested everything about this planet. If the divine dragon was going to bring back Lin Chen, then let him take one last look at his homeland. Oh no! Is he planning to destroy the planet? Bardock's face turned extremely grim upon seeing this. He is really the evil Universal Emperor Frieza. He's actually planning to destroy planet Vegeta just like that. They couldn't let him succeed. Bardock roared and burned all the energy within him, sending a powerful energy blast towards Frieza. This time, Frieza didn't counterattack Bardock. Instead, he pointed his hand, and the planet-destroying ball directly swallowed Bardock's energy blast before advancing towards him. Run away. Quickly escape. Seeing Frieza use this astonishing move, the Frieza Force soldiers finally understood what was about to happen. Fear overwhelmed everything, making them disregard orders and frantically head back to their ships, including Sorbet. After all, no one wanted to die. Bardock was bearing the immense pressure of the planet-destroying ball head-on. He used all his might to unleash an energy blast which struck the planet-destroying ball but couldn't even delay it for a single second. The massive planet-destroying ball tore through the surrounding space and shattered everything in its path, and was about to engulf Bardock. Bardock! Seeing this, the others cried out in despair. Roar! It was as if they were hearing an auditory illusion. Suddenly, everyone seemed to hear the roar of a dragon. The next moment, just as Bardock was about to be consumed by the planet-destroying ball, a golden light suddenly appeared on the scene. The dazzling golden light, like a second sun, blinded everyone's vision. At the same time, a colossal thunderous sound, akin to the destruction of a planet, exploded out. A moment later, the thousands of kilometers of land at the scene turned into scorched earth, and the ground collapsed for several kilometers. In the center of where the golden light had just appeared, Bardock looked in astonishment at his unharmed body and turned around his head. There, a burly figure stood between him and Frieza. From the back, the figure bore some resemblance to Lin Chen's legendary Super Saiyan form, but it had a dragon's head on top. Is it the Lord Divine Dragon? It really is the Divine Dragon. Great! Now we can win. Others also cheered in excitement. Divine Dragon? Frieza looked at the monster in front of him, which resembled a Saiyan but had a dragon's head. This was also a Divine Dragon. King Frieza. That should be the Saiyan's Divine Dragon. It is said that this Divine Dragon can transform into a humanoid combat form. It was this Divine Dragon that destroyed King Cooler's metal clone back then. Sorbet's voice rang out at this moment. Frieza had heard about his older brother Cooler being controlled and turned into a metal android that attacked planet Vegeta. Now, upon hearing Sorbet's words, he couldn't help but sneer, oh. So, this is that Divine Dragon? Yes, Frieza, this is the guardian deity of our planet Vegeta. His Majesty personally created this Saiyan Divine Dragon. A Saiyan shouted excitedly, the Divine Dragon possesses some of His Majesty's divine powers. Get ready to meet your end. It has some of Lin Chen's divine powers. Frieza's lips curled as he looked with interest at Sorbet, who had already escaped to the spaceship's side. Sorbet, did you know about this? Why yes. There is rumor among the Saiyans that this Divine Dragon has half of Lin Chen's power. Oh, ho, ho. An excited gleam passed through Frieza's eyes. Half of Lin Chen's power. That was just perfect. Before encountering Lin Chen, he could use this guy as a test. A ruthless glint flashed in Frieza's eyes as he turned into a streak of black smoke and disappeared. When he reappeared, Frieza had already arrived in front of the divine dragon. But at that moment, a hand grabbed Frieza's swinging right leg. Boom! The air trembled. Frieza's eyes widened and he found that his leg was getting numb. A tremendous force suddenly surged through, sending Frieza flying. What? Frieza was taken aback. The divine dragon turned to look at Frieza and spoke with a voice filled with a divinity. I am the Saiyan divine dragon created by His Majesty Lynx, Planet Vegeta's intruder. Prepare to meet your end. As soon as it finished speaking, the divine dragon vanished from its original position and delivered a powerful punch to Frieza. Frieza was once again sent flying. So strong. It's truly His Majesty's divine dragon. The people who had been initially fearful and worried, upon witnessing the divine dragon's magnificent display of power, breathed a sigh of relief. After all, this divine dragon had inherited half of Lin Chen's power, albeit with some caveats. It was only half of Lin Chen's power from when he created the Dragon Balls. Nevertheless, Frieza had been dead for decades, and there was no way he could compare to Lin Chen. However, just when Bardock and the others thought victory was in their grasp, Frieza touched the spot where he had been hit by the divine dragon, his face showing no anger but joy. So, this is Lin Chen's power. Good. Good. This power makes my 1 year of training worthwhile. I had originally planned to use my true power only when Lin Chen arrived, but now it seems I have no choice but to use it early. As Frieza spoke, Bardock's expression changed abruptly. True power. Could it be that this isn't Frieza's final form? Bardock knew that both Cooler and King Cold had a fourth and fifth transformation. Was Frieza the same? Just as he was filled with surprise, a dazzling light burst forth from Frieza's body. A powerful shockwave, centered around Frieza, swept out in all directions. Under the powerful energy waves emanating from Frieza, the people on the scene began to retreat one by one. Even the weaker soldiers of the Frieza force in the distance were blown away like a tornado, disappearing into the horizon. How is this possible? How can a frost demon have such strength? As everyone looked on in shock, the dazzling light emanating from Frieza slowly began to dissipate. Finally, a Frieza with a golden body radiating golden light appeared before their eyes. Golden Frieza. Such a terrifying aura, it is even more powerful than Vegeta and others, right? Power level 25 billion. What sort of joke is this? Is the scouter malfunctioning? 25 billion. At this moment, everyone couldn't help but tremble from the depths of their hearts. Frieza had truly hidden his power. And it was a terrifying power. Previously, they thought that perhaps they didn't need Goku and the others to come back, that they could deal with Frieza just with the Divine Dragon. But now it seemed that even the Divine Dragon might not be a match for Frieza. Because the power level of the Saiyans Divine Dragon was much lower than the power Frieza was displaying now. So, Divine Dragon, shall we continue our battle from earlier? Frieza looked at the shocked expressions on the faces of everyone, with a satisfied smile. Although Golden Frieza had not entered the Divine Realm, his formidable power was equivalent to that of a first-level Divine Realm. As he spoke, he threw a punch that crossed hundreds of meters and struck the chest of the Divine Dragon. The Divine Dragon, who had just been as arrogant as a war god, let out a low roar and was sent flying like a cannonball. What? Even the Divine Dragon couldn't withstand Frieza's punch, a fact that chilled everyone to the bone. The Divine Dragon, as it flew through the air, stabilized itself and unleashed a powerful aura before turning to face Frieza for another round. However, this time, its attacks were not as before, they were easily blocked by Frieza. Frieza wore a disdainful expression. Is this all you've got? If that's the case, then Lin Chen isn't anything special either. Don't insult my lord. The divine dragon seemed to have gotten angry. It let out a roar and a bright light appeared in its palm, which it directly slapped on Frieza's face. A terrifying blast wave engulfed Frieza, along with the land behind him, creating a trench several kilometers long in an instant. However, when the light dissipated, Frieza stood unharmed in front of the divine dragon, still wearing the same disdainful smile. So what if I insulted him? I will not only insult Lin Chen, I will also kill him. But before I kill Lin Chen, I'll deal with you first. With that, Frieza swiftly moved behind the divine dragon and delivered a chop. Rip! A sound of flesh tearing apart echoed out. Frieza's blow had actually severed the upper half of the divine dragon's body. When Frieza grabbed the divine dragon by the head, turning his back to Bardock and others like a demon, some Saiyans had already fearfully knelt on the ground. Even the divine dragon is dead. Too powerful. This Frieza is too powerful. Where is his majesty? Why hasn't he come yet? Frieza held the head of the divine dragon in his hand and carefully examined his spoils. However, before long, the deceased divine dragon transformed into a stone, then turned into ashes, disappearing from his hand. So, this is what happens when the divine dragon dies. How interesting, Frieza clapped his hands and then turned his attention to Bardock and the others. Humph, I originally prepared this form for Lin Chen, but it seems it's been used on his toy first. You lowly creatures have had the privilege of witnessing my new form. You can die now without regret. Next, get ready to report to the other world. Don't be too sad because, in a little while, I will send all Saiyans to accompany you. Facing the seemingly invincible Golden Frieza, everyone was filled with despair. Even the divine dragon, who had once saved Planet Vegeta, couldn't resist much against Golden Frieza. Is it really the end? I'm sorry, Your Majesty. We can only hold on until here, Bardock thought with great reluctance. Although Lin Chen entrusted the protection of Planet Vegeta to him, he could only hold on until this point. Well then, disappear. Frieza cruelly smiled and raised his hand. A dazzling energy blast flew towards Bardock and the others. Everyone closed their eyes in despair. Could a miracle still happen at this moment? Your Majesty, why haven't you come back yet? A Saiyan cried out in despair. As if in response to his cry, at that moment, several figures suddenly appeared in front of them. The moment these figures appeared, the faces of the crowd changed. Then, they erupted into joyful shouts. Your Majesty! When they saw Lin Chen, Goku, Vegeta, and others suddenly appear, everyone's hearts were filled with joy. His Majesty and the others have returned. They've finally come back. Step back, everyone. Following Lin Chen back to Planet Vegeta, Vegeta appeared and, upon seeing the massive energy blast heading over, his gaze turned cold. He shouted loudly and unleashed his strongest power. In an instant, Vegeta's hair turned blue, and a blue aura surrounded him. Then, an unparalleled and mighty force collided head-on with Frieza's energy blast. Gallic Gun. A blue shockwave rose into the air and clashed with Frieza's energy, creating a deafening sound and a violent whirlwind that threatened to blow everything away. After a while, the smoke cleared, and the storm subsided. The only evidence left that the collision had occurred was a spherical crater on the ground. Frieza looked at the figures that had suddenly appeared with a deep expression. At the forefront was Lin Chen, the one he had despised and yearned to kill during his decades in hell. In addition to Lin Chen, there were several Saiyans who seemed familiar. Especially the one who had blocked his attack earlier, wasn't that Vegeta, who had briefly served under him many years ago? After not seeing each other for decades, this guy had actually become so powerful. While Frieza assessed everyone, Lin Chen, who had arrived on the brink of time, exchanged greetings with Bardock and others. In the end, it was Tights who managed to contact Lin Chen and others, and bring them back in time. Upon seeing the golden Frieza in the distance, Goku and Vegeta were somewhat surprised. Is that Frieza? Why is he golden? He is indeed Frieza, Kakarot. Be careful, this guy's strength is extraordinary. That golden guy over there is Frieza. He's the one who tricked and killed Mom back then. Taro glared, looking eager to fight. Besides Lin Chen, many of them were seeing Frieza for the first time, and even Goku and Vegeta didn't know much about Frieza. Unlike in the original works world, Goku and Vegeta in this world had never come across Frieza. Especially Goku, it was his first time meeting Frieza. However, even though they didn't know much, the astonishing aura emanating from Frieza right now caused their expression to turn serious. Especially just now, Vegeta used their newly trained Super Saiyan Blue transformation to block Frieza's attack, but he still only managed to fight Frieza to a draw. Unlike Vegeta and the others' cautious attitude, Lin Chen wasn't too worried about Frieza. Although Golden Frieza was powerful, Lin Chen had faced stronger opponents. Especially not long ago, Lin Chen had just fought against Beerus, so facing Frieza now didn't really pique his interest. Ding! Detected Frieza's invasion, triggering the strongest choices. Choice 1, take action personally, kill Frieza. Reward, 1 bottle of divine power restorative elixir. Choice 2, subdue Frieza and make him swear allegiance as a vassal. Reward, Stargate technology. Choice 3, give the younger generation a chance, let Lin Luo and Taro kill Frieza. Reward, substitute puppet X1. When the system's voice rang in his mind, Lin Chen appeared very indifferent. This time the mission was unusually not difficult, the only thing to consider was the mission reward. Divine Power Restorative Elixir. The use of the power of law required divine power, and apart from resting, there was no way to replenish divine power, so divine power restorative elixir was quite precious. However, at the level of gods, prolonged battles were unlikely to happen, so the opportunity to use divine power restorative elixir was very slim. Stargate technology was more interesting. After obtaining it, one could create a stargate to traverse the entire universe, allowing ordinary people to instantly travel to various corners of the universe. Furthermore, this technology could even be developed to directly travel to other universes. Although this technology wasn't very useful for Lin Chen, who already had instant transmission, it could make the entire universe more easily manageable for his galactic federation. As for the last reward, the substitute puppet. According to the system, this item could save Lin Chen from death once when he was about to die. It was somewhat useful, but Lin Chen's time reversal ability could also serve a similar purpose. After some contemplation, Lin Chen said in his mind, "System, I choose 2. Ding, the host has selected their choice, please complete the mission promptly." The substitute puppet was good, but Lin Chen was more interested in the Stargate. Moreover, Choice 2 has an additional reward besides Stargate. That is to be able to recruit the most famous unruly Frieza from Dragon Ball under his command. Making the former Universal Emperor serve him tea and water sounded intriguing to Lin Chen. With that in mind, Lin Chen raised his head and walked towards Frieza. "Frieza, I didn't expect to see you alive again after all these years." Frieza chuckled lightly, "Yes, Lin Chen, I've returned from hell. Thanks to you, I spent decades in a huge nightmare in hell. This time, it'll send you to hell too, so you can also experience the pain I endured back then." Lin Chen shook his head and a hint of a smile appeared on his lips. "Frieza, times have changed. It's not the same as it was back in your days. In consideration of your hard-earned resurrection, I am willing to give you a chance. Join me, become my subordinate, and I can spare your life, so you won't have to return to that hell." After Lin Chen's words fell, there was absolute silence on the scene. Goku and the others couldn't believe it. Did Lin Chen just offer reconciliation to Frieza? He wants to recruit Frieza. Your Majesty, but he's Frieza. How can you recruit him? Not only Goku and others, but Frieza also couldn't understand it. He was the universal Emperor Frieza, whose mere existence used to make children stop crying. The tyrant who ruled the universe. Apart from the god of destruction Beerus, he had never submitted to anyone else, not even his own father. Now this Lin Chen, the Saiyan who had once killed him, wanted to recruit him. Ridiculous. This is an insult, a huge insult. Boom. Frieza's aura seemed to boil with anger. But at that moment, a rainbow-colored light suddenly descended from the sky beside them. From within the light, two figures emerged. "Oh, Frieza, long time no see." Hearing this familiar voice, Frieza exclaimed in astonishment, "Beerus-sama. Why are you here?" There was a time when Frieza had been taught by his father, King Cold, that in this universe, there were two people they absolutely cannot provoke. One was Majin Buu, and the other was the god of destruction Beerus. Frieza hadn't seen Majin Buu, but the young and arrogant Frieza had once challenged Beerus. Then, he was trampled under Beerus' foot. Since then, Frieza showed utmost respect to Beerus and dared not act impudently. Now, seeing Beerus again, Frieza couldn't help feeling a bit frightened. "Beerus-sama, I never expected that after several decades, would have the honor of seeing you again." Even though he had obtained new powers, Frieza still showed deep respect to Beerus. His fawning attitude left everyone, including Lin Chen, astonished. So, the Universal Emperor also had this side to him. Suddenly, Lin Chen began to look forward to how Frieza would flatter him in the future. "Frieza, why have you come to Planet Vegeta this time?" "Beerus-sama, didn't you order me to destroy Planet Vegeta back then? Today, I have come to fulfill your command." Cough, cough, cough. Before Frieza could finish his sentence, Beerus began to cough violently. "Beerus-sama, what's wrong?" "Beerus-sama, I think you should tell Frieza the truth," Whis said softly. Beerus furrowed his brow, hesitated for a moment with some difficulty, and then said, "Frieza, I retract my past order. There is no need to destroy Planet Vegeta." "Huh?" Frieza was instantly stunned. Why? God of Destruction Beerus had never revoked an order before. In the past, Frieza had destroyed dozens, if not hundreds, of planets on his behalf, and he had never seen anything like this. Because. "Beerus-sama. I know, Whis. Don't rush me." Beerus shouted in frustration, then turned to Frieza and said, "Frieza, I've lost to Lin Chen, so I've decided not to destroy Planet Vegeta." At this moment, Frieza stood frozen as if struck by lightning, his face filled with astonishment and alarm. "Beerus-sama? You lost to Lin Chen? How is that even possible?" Beerus turned around his head, unwilling to revisit that embarrassing memory. So, Whis took it upon himself to explain with a smile, "It's true, Mr. Frieza. Beerus-sama indeed lost to Lin Chen in a one-on-one match." Frieza was completely shocked. In the blink of an eye, over 30 years had passed, and it wasn't just him who had grown stronger. Lin Chen had also grown to an unimaginable level. He slowly turned his head and saw the gentle smile on Lin Chen's face. Frieza swallowed hard and suddenly felt fortunate that he hadn't attacked Lin Chen before. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died. Despite becoming countless times more powerful than in the past, Frieza was well aware that he still had a long way to go to match God of Destruction Beerus. If he couldn't even defeat Beerus, then forget about Lin Chen. With this realization, Frieza's expression rapidly changed. Once arrogant, his gaze became devout, and he bowed towards Lin Chen, smiling, Lin Chen-sama, there must be some misunderstanding here." Lin Chen chuckled, "Misunderstanding, Mr. Frieza? I heard you killed my divine dragon." It was an accident." Frieza hastily waved his hand, "Mr. Lin Chen. It was an accident. We were just sparring, and I accidentally used too much force." Seeing Lin Chen remain silent, Frieza gulped nervously and added, "By the way. I haven't congratulated Mr. Lin Chen yet. The Galactic Federation you've established is truly magnificent. The glory of the Galactic Federation will surely illuminate the entire universe. On behalf of the former Frieza force, I also hope to join the Galactic Federation family. Hearing Frieza's words, his subordinates were stunned. Bardock and others were equally taken aback. Was it the same Universal Emperor who was so full of malevolence and arrogance just a moment ago? Even Lin Chen was surprised. He hadn't even had a chance to respond yet, and Frieza was already pledging allegiance to him. However, Lin Chen hadn't received any system prompts so far, indicating that Frieza's words were likely mere formalities. Verbally submitting did not align with the system's purpose. It seemed that besides words, Frieza needed to genuinely submit to him from the depths of his heart. Frieza, do you really want to join the Galactic Federation? Lin Chen approached with a smile, patting Frieza's shoulder. Yes, Lin Chen-sama, it would be my honor to join the Galactic Federation, Frieza said sincerely. Is that so? Lin Chen shook his head. What you're saying is true, but I'm not entirely convinced. How about this, I'll give you a test. If you can pass it, you can leave today. I promise your safe departure, and you want me to join the Galactic Federation. How does that sound? A test? Frieza's eyes widened upon hearing this. Although he had spoken pleasantly earlier, he didn't want to miss an opportunity to avoid compromising and bowing to Lin Chen if it really existed. Lin Chen-sama, may I inquire about the nature of this test? Sacred World of the Kai. A row of tables and chairs had been set up, along with food and drinks. Whis and Beerus sat in chairs, savoring the food and eagerly awaiting the unfolding drama. Bardock, Tights, and the others sat on the side, finding it hard to believe what was about to happen. Aside from Whis and his group, as well as Lin Chen's friends, the two Supreme Kai and Kibito were also present, sipping their tea. Kibito, with a grim expression, asked, Supreme Kai-sama, they've come again. East Supreme Kai took a sip of tea and said, Kibito, just accept it. Let's enjoy our tea and watch the show. In the distance, Goku, Vegeta, and Broly, along with Lin Luo and Taro, formed a line. Lin Chen stood in front of them with Frieza. Frieza, the test I'm giving you is to choose one person from among them. If you can defeat them, you can leave safely today, and I won't hold you accountable for what happened on Planet Vegeta. Frieza was somewhat surprised and asked, just defeat one of them? Lin Chen-sama, there are also two children here. Consider them as one person. They'll fight together. But let me clarify beforehand, they are my sons, Lin Chen smiled. Very well, Lin Chen-sama, I accept the test. Frieza replied with a hint of joy. So, the so-called test was just a fight? In that case, as long as it wasn't a fight against Lin Chen, Frieza wasn't afraid of anyone. However, when choosing an opponent, Frieza was still cautious and didn't rush to make a decision. He first glanced at Broly and skipped over him. Broly's appearance was very distinctive, and he had seen it in the information provided by Sorbet, so he was well aware. This guy is said to be a Saiyan from Legends with the same bloodline as Lin Chen. When Cooler attacked Earth back then, he was the one who killed him. This guy is not easy to deal with. Next were Goku and Vegeta. Frieza recalled Vegeta's transformation into a blue-haired form just moments ago. Although it was brief, Frieza felt that Vegeta's power was comparable to his own at that time. While he was confident in defeating them, he was also wary of potential surprises. In the end, Frieza's gaze naturally fell upon Lin Luo and Taro, these two youngsters. As Lin Chen's sons, Lin Luo and Taro, even though they had entered their youth, still had a youthful look on their faces, making them appear easy to deal with at first glance. Even though he would have to face both of them, Frieza doesn't think he will lose to two boys whose hair hasn't even grown yet. You two, I'll choose you two. Frieza pointed at Lin Luo and Taro, with a sinister grin on his face. Hee hee, perfect. Frieza, my mom was killed by you once, and this time I'm going to avenge her. Taro clenched his fists. Your mom? Frieza was momentarily puzzled. It's her. Taro pointed to Hanasia in the distance. Frieza turned to look and quickly recognized her. Oh, so you're her son, huh? He, Frieza chuckled softly. He felt that victory was already within his grasp. But Frieza didn't know that Lin Chen, upon seeing his choice, was smiling with great delight. Frieza indeed preferred to pick on the weak. However, he had chosen wrongly. Indeed, in terms of individual strength, Lin Luo and Taro were the weakest among them. But Lin Chen had bound them together for a reason. When the two of them fight together, they could unleash a power even surpassing Goku and Vegeta. Sacred world of the Kai, a gentle breeze brought about a scene of tranquility. Lin Chen and others sat at the prepared tables and chairs, savoring a variety of delicious foods, including ice cream and popcorn, as if they were on a picnic. However, not far from them, a somber atmosphere hung in the air. Lin Luo and Taro stood at a distance of several dozen meters from Frieza, staring each other down. Lin Chen-sama, you won't go back on your words, right? Frieza asked once again, just to be sure. Of course, Lin Chen replied. What if I injure your sons? Frieza inquired once more. It doesn't matter even if you kill them. While fending off the punches from Hanasia and Tights beside him, Lin Chen continued, I can use the Dragon Balls to resurrect them. In that case, I'm relieved, Frieza said, a sinister smile creeping across his face. He then turned towards Lin Luo and Taro, young lords, don't blame me. Blame your father for choosing me as your opponent. Ho ho ho. Lin Luo and Taro exchanged glances and saw the amusement in each other's eyes. Listening to Frieza's words, they would have burst into laughter long ago if they weren't afraid of arousing his suspicion. Big brother, what should we do? Should we fuse first or fight individually? Taro asked. Lin Luo didn't hesitate, saying, let's fuse right away. Dad said we should give Frieza an unforgettable lesson and show him that the times have changed. Sounds good. With that, both of them reached into their pockets and pulled out an earring, putting it on their ears. Indestructible Potera earrings. Lin Chen had given them to his two sons long before Frieza made his choice. Seeing their actions, Frieza was naturally taken aback, wondering why these two kids were putting on earrings before the battle had even begun. However, moments later, Frieza saw Lin Luo and Taro suddenly being drawn together by an invisible force before colliding with each other. After a flash of white light, Linro appeared before everyone. Seeing the two boys turn into one, Frieza was left somewhat bewildered. Linro burst into wild laughter and introduced himself, Frieza, this is Lin Luo and Taro's fusion form, the most powerful warrior Linro. Frieza, however, paid no attention to him and instead looked towards Lin Chen, Lin Chen-sama, what is going on? Don't worry, this is a fusion technique they've recently learned. Frieza, defeating them will still count as your victory, Lin Chen explained. Frieza, who had started to notice that something was amiss, scowled and turned to face Linro. Just a fusion of two brats, let me see what's so special about him. Linro's face instantly turned red with anger when he saw that he was being looked down upon. He then immediately gathered his chi and roared out loud. How dare you look down on me, Frieza? I am going to make you regret it. Ha! Blue-white flames instantly erupted from Linro, emitting a mysterious aura. Ha! Lin Chen, what form is this? It looks like Vegeta's transformation from earlier. Hanasia looked at Linro's transformation with curiosity. At this moment, Linro had transformed into a form that she didn't recognize. His entire body was radiating a blue and white glow, and his once golden hair had turned blue, resembling the deep waters of a lake. This is the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, also known as Super Saiyan Blue. It has the same nature as my Super Saiyan Silver Gray. The kids developed this new technique while training on the God of Destruction's planet, Lin Chen explained. In fact, with Lin Luo and Taro's strength, they haven't reached the level of mastering the Super Saiyan God transformation yet. However, once they fused into Linro, the talent of the fused warrior became the sum of the two individuals. Thus, Linro easily achieved what Lin Luo and Taro couldn't individually. He spontaneously comprehended the realm of the Super Saiyan God and went one step further and mastered the Super Saiyan Blue transformation. At this moment, Frieza was left dumbfounded. Although he couldn't sense Linro's aura, Frieza could feel a mysterious aura emanating from him. This feeling was surprisingly similar to that of the God of Destruction Beerus. Suddenly, Frieza had a feeling that he might have been fooled by Lin Chen. These two kids possessed far more skill than he had initially realized. Hey, Frieza, hurry up and transform. If you don't, we're coming for you. Linro shouted, stamping his foot and creating a deep crater in the indestructible sacred world of the Kai. Saying that, Linro charged towards Frieza like a sharp arrow. Without further thought, Frieza immediately transformed into his golden form. Then, their fists clashed mid-air, resulting in a deafening explosion that transformed into shockwaves, spreading out in all directions. Whis stood up, and with a wave of his scepter, a blue light dissolved the oncoming shockwaves. However, other areas weren't as fortunate. Within a radius of several tens of kilometers, all the greenery vanished amidst the shockwave. Frieza and Linro, the ones who caused all of this, glared at each other, their bodies moving at high speed again. Bang! 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 Boom! When two people who have entered the divine realm unleash their full power, they could easily shatter celestial bodies. At this moment, Frieza and Linro had already attained such power, and their battle even impacted the sacred world of the Kai extensively. Thankfully, the battle was taking place in the sacred world of the Kai, and not elsewhere. Otherwise, the entire galaxy might have been destroyed. So powerful. This level of power, no wonder Lin Chen chose this place as the battleground, Supreme Kai Shin exclaimed, his eyes filled with astonishment. The world had indeed changed. Lin Chen and Beerus are one thing, but now, even the fusion of Lin Chen's two sons has entered the divine realm. Surprisingly, Frieza managed to enter the divine realm solely through his own power. Ancestor, I suddenly feel like I might be able to retire. Smack. Old Kai smacked him on the head. You fool, you've only been working for a short time, and you're already thinking of retiring? Get your act together. Damn it. Frieza's face grew increasingly rigid. He schemed and spent decades in hell meditating and training, followed by a full year of training in the living world to break through to gain his power, and yet he still couldn't surpass the fusion of two children. Damn it. With a fierce roar, Frieza's body erupted out with golden flames. In the next moment, he swung his fist horizontally towards Lin Luo. His fist transformed into a crescent-shaped golden light in the sky, reaching its target in the blink of an eye. But at that moment, Linro caught Frieza's fist and, in one fluid motion, lifted Frieza's entire body. Linro, holding Frieza's body, ruthlessly smashed him into the ground. Boom! The once proud Universal Emperor found himself in a highly disheveled state, buried deep underground, just like planting a tree. It's over, Lin Chen calmly declared. Although Lin Chen had already predicted the outcome of this battle, Frieza clearly had different ideas. After suffering in hell for several decades, he had finally been resurrected. Driven by vengeance, he trained diligently for a year and attained the golden form that had never been recorded in the history of the Frost Demon race. So, how could he accept defeat just like this? Especially when the one who defeated him was not Lin Chen but Lin Chen's two sons. Suddenly, a dazzling golden aura burst forth from Frieza. In the next moment, a golden pillar of light shot up into the sky. Frieza broke out from the ground and soared into the sky. I, Frieza, will never admit defeat. But before Frieza could get any closer, Linro's figure turned into a black shadow and appeared in front of Frieza. Seeing Linro right in front of him, Frieza was shocked. Then, a powerful punch struck him in the stomach. A single punch made Frieza spew out a mouthful of blood. "Uncle Frieza, why won't you give up? It's making it hard for me. I won't admit defeat." Frieza's eyes were bloodshot and filled with fury. Suddenly, a purple energy enveloped his body. Huh! Beerus and Whis, who were watching from the sidelines, were both surprised. Whis? Yes, Whis nodded. Frieza has already touched the threshold of the power of destruction. Nova Strike. Frieza, wrapped in the purple energy, roared and charged towards Linro. Nova Strike was Frieza's most powerful move, and now that he had touched the threshold of the power of destruction, its power was even more extraordinary. The arrogant Linro, who was initially planning to block the attack with his hands, realized something was wrong when Frieza got too close, but it was already too late. His body began to be swiftly pushed backward by Frieza. Oh no! Lin Chen, Linro is in danger. Hanasia called out nervously. Don't worry, he'll find a way. Lin Chen had confidence in his son. Sure enough, just as Lin Chen finished speaking, Linro began to counterattack. Two bright Saiyan radiance appeared between his palms. In the next moment, a Saiyan energy wave shot out from his palms, sending the previously advancing purple energy back towards Frieza. Frieza's attack just now made it clear that he was truly out to kill him, so Linro acted without any hesitation. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, this has always been Lin Chen's family motto. Bzzz. The Saiyan energy wave, carrying Frieza's purple energy, was pushed back. Seeing the energy wave rapidly enlarge in his eyes, Frieza felt a chill in his heart. From that energy, he could feel a deadly threat. Once hit, he would undoubtedly die. Damn it! I don't want to die. I don't want to die. In panic, Frieza's body erupted out in a massive golden flame. I've just been resurrected, how can I be killed by a brat? With a roar, Frieza released another golden energy sphere from his hand. Supernova. A golden energy sphere flew out and within a few breaths, it grew immensely in size. Immediately, this energy sphere collided with Linro's energy wave. The violent energy transformed into black lightning, scattering in all directions. The entire sacred world of the Kai began to shake violently, as if it was on the brink of collapse. Wah, such terrifying energy! Kibito screamed in fear, and the others also looked grim. The power of these two's attacks seemed to be no weaker than the one unleashed by Lin Chen and Beerus during their previous battle. However, among the onlookers, there were those who remained unfazed. Goku looked regretful and said, "This guy Frieza is really strong. It's a pity I didn't get a chance to fight him." Vegeta, arms crossed, snorted, "So what? Frieza may have become stronger, but compared to us Saiyans, he's still far behind." While they were speaking, Frieza and Linro's energy waves had temporarily reached a stalemate. Seeing this, the enraged Frieza continued to channel more energy, completely disregarding everything. "I, Frieza, will not die here." In just an instant, the golden energy sphere doubled in size again and temporarily pushed Linro's energy wave back. "Wow, you still have this much power. Amazing!" Linro exclaimed in an exaggerated manner, his expression looking terrified. Seeing this, Frieza thought he was about to win, and a smug smile appeared on his face. But at that very moment, Linro's expression suddenly changed. "Sorry, but I was just joking with you." "What?" "Super explosive bombardment." Suddenly, blue energy surged out from Linro's body like a volcanic eruption. At that moment, Linro's Saiyan energy wave also doubled in size and rapidly pushed back Frieza's energy sphere. This time, Frieza, who had already exhausted all his strength, could only helplessly watch as his energy sphere was pushed back quickly, ultimately being consumed, much to his unwillingness. No. In the Saiyan energy wave, Frieza's body seemed to stretch like smoke pulled by the wind, and then various parts of his body began to disintegrate and disappear. Just as Frieza, who had been resurrected with great difficulty, was about to be sent back to hell, something unexpected happened. Frieza opened his eyes. He suddenly noticed that everything around him had stopped in a very eerie way. What's going on? Don't worry, I've just temporarily paused time. Frieza turned around in astonishment and saw Lin Chen standing beside him, who had seemingly appeared out of nowhere. And at that moment, he realized that everything around him had indeed frozen as if someone had pressed the pause button. However, at this moment, he was still trapped in the Saiyan energy wave. Lin Chen-sama, please save me. I don't want to die. Don't worry, I'm here to save you. Lin Chen waved his right hand, and everything around Frieza seemed to start moving backward. Time rapidly rewound, quickly returning to the second just before Linro's energy wave hit him. And as time began to flow normally once again, a hand reached out and pulled Frieza away from his original position. Boom! Linro's energy wave directly engulfed the spot where Frieza had originally been. And Frieza, who should have been killed by this energy wave, was now standing on the side, panting heavily. He came close to death, almost brushing past it. Ah! Dad, why are you helping an outsider? Enough, Linro, you've already won. I need him alive. Fine. Linro, feeling helpless, put his hands behind his head, whistling as he walked away. As Linro left, Frieza, with a hoarse voice, said to Lin Chen, "Thank you, Lin Chen-sama." Frieza, what do you have to say now? Lin Chen-sama. I, Frieza, am willing to serve you. From today on, I am your subordinate. I am willing to spread your glory across the multiverse. Ding! Congratulations, host, on completing the choice to subdue Frieza. Reward, Stargate Technology. From this day on, just 1 year after regrouping, the evil Frieza force was once again destroyed. In its place, the Shadow Force, directly under the Galactic Federation, was born. Where there is light, there is darkness, and even the Galactic Federation, founded by Lin Chen, has some unsavory things happening. These things require people to deal with them. But these things cannot be done by the Saiyans, or else Lin Chen's initial desire to change the Saiyans' thinking will not be realized. So in the past, this area has never had a fixed team responsible for it. Most of the time, it was dealt with secretly by King Vegeta and a group of Saiyans. Now, with Frieza, the Galactic Federation can entrust all the dirty work to him. This can also be considered making the most of available resources. Apart from getting Frieza's assistance, the Stargate technology that Lin Chen obtained due to this incident was also extremely useful. In the system space, the system gave Lin Chen a document containing a list of all the materials and technical specifications required for constructing a Stargate. Naturally, Lin Chen couldn't understand these technologies, so he skimmed through them and handed them over to Dr. Brief. Dr. Brief, who is now Galactic Federation's Minister of Science and Technology, and is widely revered on Earth as a great figure, second only to Mr. Satan. After Dr. Brief saw the document, he was almost jumping with excitement. This is great, Lin Chen. Do you know what this document means? In the future, once the Stargate is built, it will take only a dozen minutes to travel from Planet Vegeta to Earth. The entire universe will be connected by this Stargate. Dr. Brief, as far as I know, this Stargate can perhaps also be used to travel to other universes. What? Dr. Brief was astonished again. His eyes had the look of a fanatic seeing a god, which sent shivers down Lin Chen's spine. Lin Chen, he'll start studying the document immediately. He'll try to build 2 Stargates as soon as possible. So I hope to have your authorization. No problem, you can use all the resources of the Alliance. After the battle with Frieza, Goku and others returned to the God of Destruction's planet to continue their training. However, Lin Luo and Taro, those two brats, returned to Earth. In their words, they wanted to take a break and relax for a while. Lin Chen didn't interfere with their decision because, at this point, he had redirected his focus to other matters. After reviving the divine dragon of Planet Vegeta, Lin Chen went to the God of Destruction's planet. "Mr. Lin Chen, are you really going to train there?" "Yes. Mr. Whis, I'm counting on you." Lin Chen took out a gift box containing various hoi poi capsules, each labeled with different types of food, such as jelly, ice cream, dumplings, and noodles. Whis calmly looked at them and quietly collected them all. "I understand, Mr. Lin Chen. Please follow me." They didn't disturb Beerus, who was sleeping, or Goku and Vegeta, who were in the midst of a lively fight. Only Broly, who was meditating, gave the two of them a silent glance. Whis led Lin Chen into the temple at the center of the God of Destruction's planet. This temple serves as Beerus' everyday residence, but at the very bottom of the temple, there was a massive snake statue. At the head of this snake statue, there was a massive hourglass. Their footsteps came to a halt in front of the statue. "Mr. Lin Chen, this is the divine time chamber. There is no entrance or exit inside, but I believe you should be able to find a way to enter and exit." "I understand. Thank you for allowing me to use this place," Lin Chen expressed his gratitude. Whis smiled and inquired, "It's just a small matter, Mr. Lin Chen, but may I know what you intend to do here?" Lin Chen confessed, "I've encountered a bottleneck while practicing a technique, and I want to train here to see if I can make a breakthrough." "Oh, I see. I won't disturb you then," Whis replied before turning and leaving. Lin Chen turned to the giant snake statue and attempted to use the power of space. Soon, he sensed another isolated space in this location. Lin Chen used the power of space again, creating a rift in front of him. Feeling the rich godly ki emanating from the rift, Lin Chen swiftly entered. In the next moment, he found himself in a beautiful world shrouded in thick mist. This place was none other than the divine time chamber. As the name suggests, it was a place of the same type as the hyperbolic time chamber Lin Chen had received through the system as a reward. However, there were some differences between the two. First, there was no distinction between up, down, left, or right in the divine time chamber, nor was there any gravity. It was like a chaotic world with nothing except mist enveloping the entire space. Secondly, there is this mist that makes people confused. This mist was not ordinary water vapor, but godly ki. In this place, without understanding godly ki, one couldn't move a muscle. Not long ago, Goku and Vegeta had trained here and learned the Super Saiyan Blue transformation. Lin Chen came here this time to make use of this environment to practice a special technique given to him by Old Kai. Initially, Lin Chen found that he was incompatible with Ultra Instinct and not suitable for training in that technique. Old Kai had then pointed him in a new direction. In this world, although Ultra Instinct was powerful, it wasn't invincible. Someone had created a technique that could rival Ultra Instinct. This technique was called Ultra Ego. According to Old Kai, he had seen someone use this technique in the past and fight on par with someone who had used perfect Ultra Instinct. If Lin Chen could learn it, even if he didn't master Ultra Instinct, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage against those who have mastered Ultra Instinct in the future. However, after spending half a year researching in the sacred world of the Kai, Lin Chen hadn't made any progress. So, Old Kai had then given him guidance to try the divine time chamber on the God of Destruction's planet because it was filled with godly ki, making it the best place to practice Ultra Ego. Lin Chen activated the godly ki within his body and confronted the surrounding pressure. He took a deep breath, looking determined. "Come on, Ultra Ego, I refuse to believe that if I can't learn Ultra Instinct, I can't learn any other technique." And so, time flew by again, and soon, a month had passed. As a time chamber, the passage of time within the divine time chamber was different from the outside world. 3 days inside roughly equated to 1 day outside. Lin Chen stayed in the divine time chamber for 3 months, but there was no sign of any activity, and he also didn't come out. Has Lin Chen not figured it out yet? I told you, how can there be a technique that can be on par with Ultra Instinct in this world? On this day, Beerus and Whis were enjoying the ice cream Lin Chen had given them. As they ate, they discussed Lin Chen, who hadn't been seen for a month. Beerus had heard a little about Lin Chen's purpose for coming to God of Destruction's planet. From the beginning, Beerus hadn't believed that Lin Chen had a technique that could rival Ultra Instinct. Ultra Instinct was a technique that even a God of Destruction finds difficult to comprehend. How could there be a technique in the world that could compare to it? So, Beerus had been feeling somewhat smug that Lin Chen still hadn't come out yet. But this time, just as Beerus had finished speaking, a spatial rift suddenly appeared in front of them, and Lin Chen's head came out from it. Hey, Mr. Whis, can you come in for a moment? Beerus was startled by Lin Chen and sat up straight, asking, Lin Chen, what are you doing? Beerus-sama, it's nothing, I'm just looking for Whis. You can continue with your business. Whis stood up with a puzzled look. Mr. Lin Chen, you're looking for me? Yes, let's talk inside. Whis shrugged, finished the remaining ice cream in a few bites, and picked up his scepter. Beerus-sama, I'll go and see what it is. With that, he passed through the rift created by Lin Chen and followed Lin Chen back into the divine time chamber. Beerus had no idea what they did inside. All he knew was that after Whis entered, about 15 minutes later, Lin Chen and Whis left the divine time chamber together. Then, Lin Chen bid farewell and left directly. Whis, what did you do in there? Nothing. Whis' voice was uncharacteristically cold. Beerus felt something was off, and suddenly he noticed something new, huh? Whis, what happened to your face? To Beerus' surprise, Whis had a bruise on his face. Upon hearing this, Whis became somewhat panicked. He waved his scepter, and the bruise on his face disappeared. Beerus-sama, you must have been mistaken. Mistaken? Whis, did you have a fight with Lin Chen inside? How did it turn out? Beerus-sama, you're overthinking it. Whis said coldly, and then, as if to change the subject, said, Beerus-sama, I remember you once said you would work hard on your training, didn't you? Why do you only know how to eat and sleep all the time? That won't do. With that, Whis waved his hand, and Beerus' unfinished ice cream disappeared. Whis' reaction only increased Beerus' confusion. What was wrong with Whis? Is he upset? From that day on, Beerus' good days were over. In the following days, Whis began to push him much harder than before, to the point where Beerus had to train alongside Goku and Vegeta. 2 months passed. On this day, Beerus, feeling bored, was about to face Goku and Vegeta. Although Goku and Vegeta were only in their normal states, Beerus used only one hand and he had a listless expression on his face. But just then, a brilliant streak of light suddenly entered God of Destruction's planet and landed not far away. Seeing the streak of light and sensing the familiar aura, Beerus was momentarily stunned. But then, 2 fists landed on his face. Ha! Beerus-sama, we got you. Goku laughed. You 2 idiots. Can't you see that there's an intruder? Go and see what's going on. Beerus' face turned livid. He grabbed Goku and Vegeta and threw them in the direction of the streak of light. While Goku and Vegeta screamed as they flew through the air for a while before landing in the distance. Following them, Whis and Beerus also flew over, and Broly, who had been meditating, was also called over. When the 3 of them arrived, they saw Kampa examining Goku and Vegeta lying on the ground. Humph. Kampa, it's really you. Why are you here instead of staying in your own universe? Beerus coldly addressed his brother. You see, his recent mood has not been good at all, and this foolish brother has actually come to him on his own. Is he asking for trouble? Hee, Kampa smirked and pointed at Beerus. Beerus, I'm here today for a food battle with you. A food battle? Everyone who heard this was puzzled. Goku quickly got up from the ground and asked, who are you? You look like Beerus-sama, but a bit plumper. Kampa's forehead suddenly bulged with veins. Watch your words. This is none other than Kampa-sama, the god of destruction of Universe 6 and the twin brother of Beerus-sama, Vados said. Wow, that's impressive. So, who's stronger, you or Beerus-sama? Goku asked again. Heh heh heh, Vados chuckled. Don't ask that question. You can tell by looking at their physique, can't you? Vados. Kampa yelled with a red face. Alright, what were you saying? A food battle? Beerus interrupted. Hey, Vados, bring out our food, Kampa shouted. Vados raised her scepter, and a basin filled with black and white spotted bird eggs appeared in front of everyone. Beerus, what do you think? These are the eggs of a new species we discovered in Universe 6, the dodo birds. The taste is beyond words. Kampa proudly declared. These eggs just need a little cooking, and they will have an exquisite taste. Let them try it, Vados. With a smile, Vados distributed the eggs to everyone. Goku was the first to eagerly taste one and mumbled, not bad. Hearing this, Kampa immediately exclaimed, were you surprised? Universe 6 delicacies are indeed the best. But at that moment, Kampa saw Beerus burst into laughter. He, Kampa, it seems like your taste buds are as out of control as your physique. You consider something like this delicious? Whis. Beerus snapped his fingers, and Whis raised his scepter. Then, a table full of food appeared before them, exuding a delightful aroma. These dishes had been stored in hoi-poi capsules, and some of them were still piping hot. Grilled steaks, sushi, egg-fried rice, and all sorts of delicacies from Earth were present. The fragrance filled Kampa's nostrils, leaving him momentarily stupefied. Kampa, give them a try, these are the real delicacies. Beerus smiled triumphantly.